Hi guys, welcome back to Crypto Chester. My name is Chester and I'd just like to say thank you for returning to my stream here this morning. The question I'm going to be answering today is, are we going to see Bitcoin fully recover? I'm going to be walking you through the crypto markets. We're going to go through the short term first, the mid term of Bitcoin, and then the long term of Bitcoin. So without further ado, let's just start off with the short term, right? That is the hourly chart for Bitcoin. As you can see here, we were discussing yesterday this falling wedge pattern, right? This falling wedge pattern, and we were looking at a trade to come out from that, right? We were looking at a nice long position. That, in terms of a measure move for that, we were looking at something like this, right? I did actually enter this trade, and I'm going to explain what happened here, right? I entered this trade as we came back down, as we've retested this trend line of the falling wedge on the top side, right? I entered my trade here. I got in a nice little long, right? Unfortunately, as you can see, we didn't see a measure move play out, which does suck, but you can't win every trade, right? So we came. I got in my long here, right? I got in my long here. We came up. We tested the 21 moving average here, right? We tested the 21 moving average here, and we tested the 21 moving average here, and we were trying to find support on it, right? We were trying to find support on it, and that's when I took around 25% profit. So 25% profit, around 2% gain, right? So not a lot, but you have to manage your positions accordingly. We didn't find support on it. We actually came below and found resistance from it, right? So that's when I was thinking, right, I'm looking for a bit more momentum towards the upside in this after seeing this massive candle, right? And then from there, it just kind of plummeted, right? It kind of plummeted down, and then we lost the 10 simple, and then I was like, right, okay, got to near enough break-even point. We started to test this volume-weighted ATR band, and that's when I closed my position at around break-even. Like, it was just under my entry, here, but I did take a bit of profit here, so that did equal a nice little break-even for myself, right? That was the trade for the short term for Bitcoin yesterday. Wasn't that great, but you can't win every trade, as I just said, right? The next thing that I'm looking at today for the short term for Bitcoin is something along, that's the wrong tool, something along the lines of this, right? We've got a nice sideways channel that's forming. Let me get rid of some moving averages so you guys can see that a bit better. Yeah, so we've got a nice, that's the wrong one as well. We got, show moving average, yeah, it just didn't load, right? Yeah, so we've got a nice sideways channel forming, right? As you can see here, nice and healthy. We've got touches, we've got confirmation. We're testing either side of this channel. So that is an indication that we could be looking at a break, right? We could be looking at a break to the upside. And in terms of a measure move for that, we could be looking at something like this, right? And that will bring us up to 49. We need to get up. We need to start going up, right? We're sick of going down. I'm sure everyone is, right? That's going to be the move to the upside, right? In terms of percentage for that trade that we're going to be looking at today, it's around a 6-7% trade. So fingers crossed that can come in nicely, depending if we can find support on the top side of this channel. If we can't, then I'll be seeing us basically coming down and testing the bottom side of this channel again, and that would basically fall in line with testing this volume-weighted ATR band that we've got going on here, right? Also, guys, if you like the content, if you like the streaming, if you like the videos, the daily videos that I've been doing, turn that like button blue. Helps me out tremendously. And yeah, if you want to see me stream every day and you want to trade with me every day in the mornings, right? Just hit that subscribe button. Helps me out tremendously, and turn the notifications on because then you're never going to miss one of my uploads, right? So as you can see here, let's get back to the charts, right? On the short term for Bitcoin, as we've got here, the measure move, if we were going to come down and break to the downside for Bitcoin, as we did yesterday, we set a lower low on Bitcoin yesterday, right? If we are going to do sort of a repetitive thing today and come down once again and see a break to the downside, I can see us basically coming down in this channel, right? Coming down this channel, find resistance off this price action channel, coming down, probably testing the bottom side of this channel that we've got going on here, testing this volume weighted ATR band coming down here, because as you can see, we do primarily respect it. If we don't respect it, we trade below it, right? We're trading below it. We're testing it continuously, finding that resistance from it, okay? Continuously, right? That's why it's such a great indicator that I use and a great tool for plotting out the tops and the bottoms, right? So as you can see here, if we are going to break towards the downside, we could be looking at, in terms of percentage, literally like a 7%, just over 7% gain for that trade there. But hopefully we don't tank it down as we did here, because we could see a leg down, and we all know for Bitcoin right now that's not what we need. We need to see those pumps. We need to see those gains, right? In terms of, that is the short term, and that's the trade pattern the chart pattern for the short term, and that's a trade to potentially be thinking about, right? Obviously, what I say, nothing I say is financial advice. It's just my opinions on what I think might happen, and just for educational purposes, right? In terms of the RSI that we've got going on here, I remember yesterday we were right down here, and I was saying, look, there's potential for us to come up and test this trend line on the RSI that we've got going on here, and that's literally what has happened here, right, guys? We came up, we've created this channel going on here. We've created this channel. We've got another confirmation here. We found resistance from the top side of this channel, and hopefully we can find some sort of resistance. Well, not hopefully, but if we can find some sort of resistance on the RSI on this trend line here. So that's definitely something to think about when trading, because we could be looking at coming down, right? Because as you can see, we did have quite a lot of momentum towards the upside overnight, and that's English time, right? So that's the RSI on the short term for Bitcoin. Now let's jump to the MACD, the macadamia nut for the short term for Bitcoin. As you can see here, at this point, we have broke this trend, right? We have broke this trend. You see this trend line coming down from the previous higher high on the MACD, on the short term for Bitcoin. You can see we have broke this trend here. We've broke this trend, so that'd be an indication that we're setting a new trend on the MACD, right? Because we have, it's not a higher high than the previous trend, but it is it's a higher high on the new trend that we've set once we had that bullish crossover, right? So that's definitely something to think about, because if we don't see this trend continue, right? If we don't see this trend continue anymore and we see a bearish crossover on the MACD, we've got to think about some sort of trend coming down from that, right? Some sort of trend coming down from that, and that basically gives us an indication on the short term of price action for the next few hours, next day or so, right? This is obviously the hourly chart, so that gives us an indication that we're not going to see that upward momentum that we've just seen, obviously on the predication of where this trend will end to start this trend line for the MACD, right? So yeah, it's definitely something to think about. If we're going to clear this this channel, this sideways channel that we've got on the chart here, then we would be looking at setting a nice start to this trend, and then we could be looking at some sort of bigger trends in terms of upward swings for Bitcoin, right? Definitely something to think about. Yeah. So, but for the downside for Bitcoin, right? For the downside for Bitcoin, it is actually good news. It is actually good news, because we've got this trend line here that hopefully we can respect, right? Hopefully we can respect. If we don't respect it, then we're going to be starting a new trend. Hopefully, if we are going to come down, we're not going to take a leg down again. We're not going to set a lower low for Bitcoin. Hopefully we can just come down, test the bottom side of this channel, test the volume weighted ATR band, and see a nice swing up from there, right? See a nice swing up from there, and the indication that could happen is, obviously we need a bearish crossover on the MACD, right? So then we're going to see a trend, downtrend on the MACD coming down here, and hopefully respecting this trend line. If we don't respect the trend line, as I just said, we could be looking at a leg down. But that's definitely something to think about when trading. Just keep your MACD there if you're doing on the hourly chart, right? Because if we are to break this trend, we could be going down a lot lower, and that could indicate a break in this channel that we've got going on here, and it could indicate a measure move down, right? And in terms of percentages, like we just said, that was about a 7% gain. So I mean, I don't like to, obviously we are still in a bull market, but I don't like to short a bull market. But at this point in time, we see what Bitcoin's doing. Like, it's just going down, right? It's just going down. Saw some all-time highs, and then just absolutely plummeting down from there, right? So it's definitely something to think about. If we are going to break, we could be looking at a leg down from there. And if we break the trend on the MACD, it's definitely going to be confirmation that could potentially happen, right? That is the short term for Bitcoin, right? That's the short term for Bitcoin. There's some trade ideas in there for you guys. Let me bring up those moving averages again to see if we can get some resistance or support on any of them to get a better indication of what's going on, because obviously moving averages are heavily respected, right? And look, as you can see here, we do have the 55 moving average at the top of this channel, right? As you can see, we have found resistance. Hopefully my mic's working properly, right? Hello? Yeah, it's working properly. Yeah, sorry, it's a brand new mic, right? I got it like a few days ago, investing in the setup and all that. So hopefully, maybe I should bring it a bit closer. Yeah, probably. It's very visually blocking when I'm looking at the chart. That's the only annoying thing, right? But yeah, so as you can see here, back to trading. As you can see here, we do have the 55 moving average here. We did come up and test that around 7 a.m. this morning, right? UK time, right? We did come up and test that, and we found some nice resistance off that. And now we're kind of consolidating inside the price action channel, and the 55, right? If we go down to the real short time frames, we would be seeing some sort of channel pattern there, and that's for you what, 5 to 1 minute scalpers out there, right? I'm not like that. I'm a swing guy. Like I'm not going to be scalping them. I look for the bigger percents, right? But yeah, so we do have this 55, and we can see the downward momentum from this candle when we tested it previously. At this point in time, we're looking at coming up from the price action channel, testing this 55, testing the top side of this channel that we've got going on for the short term here. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a rejection from there. But you also need to think about, in terms of moving averages, we do have the 10 simple coming through. That's that one there. And we do have the 21 coming through as well. As you can see here, we have previously found support on it. But you can see here also, there is quite heavy resistance. There's quite heavy resistance all the way along it, okay? So if we are to lose it to the downside, that is another indication that we are potentially going to come down and test the lower side of this channel, right? That is the short term for Bitcoin. Let me jump across to the midterm, right? Also, guys, if you're liking the content, smash that like button blue. Helps me out tremendously. And yeah, it just helps me out tremendously. I need all the help I can get, really, because obviously I'm the new guy on the block. My subscribers actually jumped up overnight. But yeah, really happy about that. So thank you to anyone who subscribed. Obviously, I'm doing something right in terms of the content, right? And obviously, I'm trying to make it more professional and just better content for you guys to consume, right? In terms of trading education and stuff like that. Obviously, it's my 4th stream, so I'm always trying to improve. I am still nervous and stuff, but it's trial and error. You just got to keep going, and getting my opinion across it is hard when you're nervous and stuff. So you just need to do it more and more, right? Straight to the midterm for Bitcoin. As discussed on yesterday's live stream in the morning, right? We are still in, well, we're not still in this falling wedge. This falling wedge is pretty dominant. It's a pretty dominant chart pattern that we have to think about, right? It's healthy. We've got touches all over it. We've got the volume weighted ATR band on the top side here, which is this red line here, right? We've got the volume weighted ATR band on the bottom side here, and that's that green line. And this is basically like a giant, that's an awful line. It's a giant channel that's created on like the volume of trades happening, right? And basically, as you can see, we primarily respect it, especially on the 4 hour. If we don't respect it, as I said previously, we literally just trend above it. And this is basically an indication for a nice trade here, right? Nice trade to ride along it, and then when we lose it, we will be closing our trade, right? Obviously, you do have some spillage and some fake outs going on there, right? But primarily, as you can see, we do respect it. So it's a great indication of where the highs and the lows are going to be. At this point in time, right? At this point in time, we are sat directly on it. We're sat directly on it, coming out of this falling wedge on the midterm for Bitcoin. And obviously, we all know Bitcoin has a massive effect on the other altcoins, right? We do have that giant measure move all the way down to 32k, right? That giant measure move all the way down to 32k, which we do need to think about, because if we're going to get somewhere down there, we're going to basically start some massive sell-off in terms of the retail market, right? One second. Oh, H2O. Yeah, so if we are going to see coming down to 32 there, I don't want to. We are going to see some sort of massive sell-off in the market. And it is basically going to crash everything, right? So we don't want that. But yeah, as you can see, we are testing this volume-weighted ATR band, which is this green line here. We're testing that below this giant falling wedge that we've got here. We're testing that. If we can find some sort of support on that, I can see us coming up, testing the 21 that we've got going on here, and testing this major trend line for this falling wedge. Hopefully, we can reclaim this falling wedge and see some upwards momentum, right? We can see some upwards momentum, smashing out these horizontal resistance points, smashing out this 55 moving average, and potentially even touching on this 200 moving average, right? In order to do that, we are going to need a lot of upwards momentum, right? We're going to need a lot of upwards momentum, and then probably some consolidation zone. And hopefully in this period here, we don't have any idiots selling huge amounts of Bitcoin, right? Because that will cause a sell-off, and we could be seeing another lower low and stuff like that. And we don't want to be seeing that, right? We don't want to be seeing that. We want to be continuing our bull market to the upside. Right, so yeah, we could be reclaiming this falling wedge. We've got a lot to smash through if we are. So that basically means there's quite a lot of momentum to the downside, but we just have to see how we plan out, right? We'll see how we plan out on the midterm for Bitcoin. In terms of the RSI right now, as discussed yesterday as well, we do have this pretty dominant trend line coming down from around April, right? So in terms of upwards momentum, we do have a little bit to go before we get a test, on the RSI trend line here. As you can see, we do have a lot of confirmation that this trend line is basically being respected, right? We have a lot of confirmation it's being respected continuously. So that's an indication we're either going to respect it and then come down and see a sort of a downward swing from there, potentially coming up, hitting this level of resistance here, coming up, hitting this level of resistance on the RSI, and basically consolidating, as I just said, and then basically consolidating, as I just said, right? Double, right? Yeah, so, or, as you can see, as I just said, we have tested it multiple times. We've tested it multiple times, and that's an indication we could be likely to break to the upside. And that's an indication that we could have some mass selling power for Bitcoin, right? And that would obviously drive the price right up, which is what we need, right? We're all looking for that. We need Bitcoin to go up. But as I said, there's obviously a lot of hurdles to get over in terms of price action, right? We've got a lot of resistance to basically smash through. And we do also have this line of resistance on the RSI as well. In terms of the MACD right now, we're pretty flaccid in terms of trends, right? We've got this trend obviously coming down from here. But obviously that didn't get it didn't get respected, but it's over, right? It's finished, it's finito. So yeah, that trend's done in terms of an uptrend on the midterm for Bitcoin. So we're looking for a nice big trend setter, right? We're looking for a nice big trend setter on the MACD to start us off, right? Hopefully we can see some sort of momentum to the upside, as I just said, and set a new trend. We have just had a bullish crossover to MACD, so that is something to think about as an indication that we are going to go up. But as I said a second ago, it is flaccid right now. There's not a lot going on in terms of downwards momentum or upwards momentum on the MACD, right? So we do also have this new trend on the MACD here on the midterm for Bitcoin. So it's really hard to see the screen with this mic, right? So annoying. Buy an amazing mic, they said. It'll be good for your stream, they said. Right, just gonna have some water. Yeah, so in terms of the MACD, right, we do have this this lower low in terms of a new trend on the MACD. I really hope my audio is okay, right? Yeah, so I think that we could be looking at coming down and testing the lower side of this trend, or the trend's going to be over, which is good, right? We need it to go up. We need Bitcoin to be going up and setting a new higher high on this new trend for the MACD, right? And then creating some higher lows from there and creating a new trend. And that basically means it could be we're going to consolidate around that area, which I was just talking about, right? So that's definitely something to think about in terms of when trading Bitcoin today. At this point in time, in terms of a position for the midterm for Bitcoin, if we are going to come down and see some lower lows, I don't want to say I'll be looking at a short, but it's the only sort of thing, right? It's the only trade on this midterm that we can see some proper confirmation for, because obviously we've got such a lot of momentum pushing us down from the upside, and a lot to break through, right? A lot to break through. But obviously you can see yesterday we have created this. We did create a lower low, which is not good at all. But we have seen the upwards momentum from that. So we do have quite a lot of support here, as you can see. We're consolidating. We've got a lot of support, and that basically is this channel that we've got on the short term, right? So you can see there's support on the bottom side, and we do have the volume weighted ATR band on the short term, right? So that's definitely something to think about in terms of trading, because if we come down, we're likely to get a rebound. So if we're going to come down, we're likely to find support on the midterm, right? And I still wouldn't be entering my short if I was going to short the market. Risky, I know, but if I was going to short the market, I still wouldn't be entering my short while we're testing this support, because as you can see on the short term, it's reliable. There's a lot of upwards momentum. There's a lot of buying power to the upside, right? On this level of support that we need to think about. But yeah, so that's sort of the midterm for Bitcoin, right? That's the sort of the midterm for Bitcoin. Hopefully we can see it, just to summarize, hopefully we can see it come up, test this trend line that we've got going on here, smash through, hit this level of resistance, and consolidate around that and go up from there. But obviously we do have the 55 moving average coming down. We do have the 200 moving average coming down. So I can't see us coming up and claiming 50K pretty much anytime soon, right? Can't see that happening, but I can see us basically testing in the next day or so up to around 48, hopefully. Unless unless Elon decides to do a madness again, but hopefully not, right? In terms of the long term for Bitcoin, let's just jump straight to the long term here. We do have this rising channel as discussed, and we do have this rising wedge as discussed. We did execute this trade, right, and that was a nice short down to the bottom side of this channel, right? Let me get rid of that. I'm actually looking at a really nice trade on the long term for Bitcoin, right? As you can see, this is the bull market barrier. Yeah, this is bull market barrier. If it's blue, we're in a bull market. If it's red, we're in a bear market. Obviously, this is a long term, so this is back in October when we entered that nice bull market there. Let me jump back to 2017 when we started that bull run before. As you can see, we came down from an all-time high from before, and we basically did that switch. We had that yellow sideways switch moment into the bear market, right? We had that switch into the bear market, and then it just went downhill from there. I think we saw, yeah, it was like a 3K Bitcoin or something stupid like. Yeah, so literally like 18, 19K all the way down to 3K, and this indicator basically told us it was happening, right? Now, brings me to the live price action. Right now, we are in this zone. We're in this sideways zone where we could, if we lose it, then it's likely we're going to enter a bear market, right? It's likely we're going to enter a bear market. We could potentially test to the lower side, test around 40K, around that mark. In my opinion, if we're going to lose 40K, then it's not looking good at all. This will flip red, and basically we're going to start some sort of downtrend on the long term for Bitcoin, right? And that's obviously going to dump a lot of the cryptos with it, because everyone will be pulling out, and it cause basically a mass sell event, right? I think it's called a black swan event, right? So yeah, so that's something to think about. That is something to think about. But with that being said, it is also a fake out, right? It could be a fake out, right? So hopefully the big guys at the top, the whales, they see some all-time highs for Bitcoin, like, right, everyone's getting in, everyone and their nan's getting in. We need to shake the market, right? We need to shake the market and get everyone to like invest at the top, right? And shake the market and get everyone to start these sell-offs, right? Start all these sell-offs, convince them that they don't need to sell, and then dump the price again, right? And then they start selling at the bottom, right? They're going to all sell at the bottom, and then the big guys are potentially going to buy it up again, and then it's just going to see new all-time highs, right? So it could be a fake out. So that's definitely something to think about. If we go back to the bear market on the long term for Bitcoin here, when we see these pumps to the upside, right? We see the pumps to the upside, and this is in a bear market still, right? Pumps to the upside. We see this sideways action on the bull market barrier, which is this yellow here, as just explained. But then we reclaim the bear market, right? We reclaim the bear market, and so basically what I'm saying is that little fake out moment here, right? That could be happening in terms of this bull market we're on, right? That could be happening here. So it's definitely something to think about. And as you can see, we did find some support on the bottom side of this barrier. So the trade that I'm looking to take, it makes me bring up the rounded blue box zones, right? We need the higher zones, right? We need the higher zones. Yeah, so as you can see here, as I explained before, right? Every time we leave one of these blue box zones, we see a nice long position, right? It usually respects it, and then we take profit at all of these yellow lines. And as you can see here, we are imminent. We are imminent to lose. We're imminent to leave the box to the upside, right? If that is to happen, prefer it on the 12 hour. If that's to happen, right, I will be getting in a nice little long here. I'll be getting in a nice little long from, say, around 44.9 there, but obviously depending where this candle is to close, and then I'm going to have my stop loss just below. Let's bring up the lower side for now. I'm going to have my stop loss just sort of below this blue box zone here. Obviously, I'll take a few more things into account in terms of moving averages and stuff like that, right? I'm going to have my stop loss just around there, probably around 41, 42, something like that, right? Something like that, because obviously we're going to have that support to break through if we are going to get down there. But yeah, so I'm going to be getting in a long, and I'm going to be taking profit at all of these yellow lines, and hopefully we can see some, that's the wrong tool, hopefully we can see some sort of momentum coming up, right? Some sort of momentum coming up, testing these lines that we've got going on here. And basically, I'm going to be taking profit at all of these lines all the way up until I close my trade up here, right? If we start to see a reversal from there, then I'll basically be managing my position and basically canceling my position if I see a trend going to continue to the downside. And if that is to happen, that's an indication that we are going to the bear market, right? Now, that's sort of the long term for Bitcoin in terms of a position which I'm thinking about entering. hopefully we can come up. Let me get rid of these indicators, more visually appealing. Hopefully we can come up and test this trend line that we've got going on here, which we found quite a bit of momentum from, as you can see here. Hopefully we can come up, test that, reclaim it. That would be ideal, right? That's the ideal scenario. Just gonna have some water. Yeah, that would be the ideal scenario for the long term for Bitcoin, right? And we're all hoping that because the markets are going to go up. In terms of a market summary for today, we've climbed around 4 or 5% for Bitcoin, which is great, which is what we're looking for. In terms of the rest of the markets, it's all green. It's all green over here, right? Coins that I can immediately see that are doing well today, it's Litecoin. We've got Solana that's doing well. I've actually got high hopes in Solana, right? And Aave that's doing well. That's up nearly 15%. That's great. I know ADA and Matic are just about to break out. Hopefully we can get some nice positions going there. Yeah, Matic is currently up 25% today, okay? Really good gains, right? And I actually hit take profit last night on Matic for the trade, for the long that I was on. So let me just switch over to Matic and we'll go from there, right? Straight into Matic we've got going on here. As discussed yesterday, we had this downwards channel, right? And that basically indicates we're looking for a breakout to the upside or the downside, right? We could have broke to the downside and tested the lower side of this trend line. And if Bitcoin kept falling, we would have probably done that, right? But as you can see here, I entered my long on the retest. I entered my long on this retest here, and we tested that 55. And if you want to bring up the same chart, it is the 1 hour time frame, Matic to USDT, right? Yeah, so I entered my long on this test here, and I've been riding this moving average up, right? The 21, yeah, riding the 21 up, and I got a nice little just under 15% there, yeah, just under 15%. And that was great. That was great. I woke up this morning. I was like, yep, smash that trade. Nice. 15% on a Tuesday morning. It is Tuesday, right? Yeah. But as you can see here, the reason why I'm talking about Matic, right? The reason why I'm talking about Matic, let's jump to the midterm quickly. Let's jump to the midterm. As discussed, we do have this rising wedge, right? We do have this rising wedge. Let me get rid of this channel. Yeah, we do have this rising wedge here. It's pretty confirmed, right? We've got a lot of confirmations in terms of a healthy chart pattern here, right? A lot of confirmations. As you can see here, we're riding that wave. We're riding that wave to the upside as predicted with Matic, right? A lot of people are bullish on Matic at the moment, and I am as well, right? So I think we've broken this trend line, right? We've broken this trend line. We've broken the chart pattern. Now, right now, with Matic, we're looking at some sort of measure move to the upside, right? Some sort of measure move to the upside, and we could be seeing a $2.70 Matic, right? That would be insane gains, right? I'm not in the position yet. I haven't jumped the gun, right? I haven't jumped the gun because as you can see here, we have got some resistance to break, right? The short term, yeah. We have got some resistance to break on the short term. So ideally, what I'm thinking today, we're going to come back down and we're going to get a retest, right? We're going to get a nice little retest, and that is when I'm going to be entering my long. Hopefully, we can get a volume weighted ATR band to come up and show some sort of support there, some sort of support there. And that's basically another line of confirmation that we are going to go up from there. I don't think this is going to happen like overnight, but as you can see with Matic, we do have a lot of upward swings, right? Look at this gain, right? This is just ridiculous. Like that swing right there. If you were involved with that, getting a nice rebound off that confirmed trend line, taking profit at the top of this trend line, that's like a 70% gain, right? That's just ridiculous. So if we're looking at a measure move, right, and that was over like in terms of a period of time, 12 to 3, so it's like 1 day and 3 hours, right? 1 day and 3 hours, 27 candles, right? 27 candles, all it takes for us to go up 70% at the moment with Matic. So definitely something to think about in terms of this measure move here. If we're going to be looking at profits for this measure move, profits for this trade, it's a 35% gain, right? 35% gain. It's a 35% gain, so it's definitely something to think about if we're going to come down and retest. I mean, obviously we are at new all-time highs with Matic, right? We're at new all-time highs with Matic, so we need to think. We don't really want to be getting in at the top. We want to be getting in on the sort of the retrace, the bounce point, right? That's what we're aiming for. If we get in at the top, we could just fake out and just dump right down. If we're waiting for this retest point, if this is a bit of a fake out moment and we lose it and we come back down and reclaim this wedge, right? If that is to happen, then we're going to get a lower entry. We're going to lose less money if we hit that stop loss, right? So that's why you've got to manage your position in terms of that, manage your entry for your position, right? Definitely something to think about today in terms of Matic, right? Very golden trade awaiting us, and we've all seen the momentum with Matic. Definitely something to consider. Audio is fine, bro. Cheers, Kieran, bro. Yeah. So ADA. Let's go straight into ADA. As I've been waiting for a position for ADA. Didn't actually get back into ADA, which I was a bit gutted about, right? I should have, but I missed it. I was at the pub. Idiot, right? But as you can see here, we do have this descending triangle, right? We've got descending triangle coming down, right? So that obviously means we've got some sort of measure move to break, right? We have actually just broken this point here. LinkedIn going mad at me, right? We have just broken this point on this descending triangle. In terms of a percent for the upside that we're looking at for this trade, it would look something like so. Obviously, we are waiting for that retest, right? We're waiting for that retest, and that would be around a 9% gain. Definitely something to think about when trading. As you can see, we do have this 55 moving average. We've got this 55 moving average coming down that we're finding resistance of. Yeah, so I'd be looking, if I'm looking at to get into position for ADA, I'd be looking at that retest on this trend line here. But at this point in time, I don't want to just jump into a position, right? Because as I explained on Matic a minute ago, yeah, as I explained on Matic, if I bring that chart up quickly, we don't want to get a bad entry, right? If we get a bad entry, the stop loss, if we get there, it's going to be awful, right? So yeah, so it's definitely something to think about in terms of ADA. And if we are to fake out like we did here to the downside, right? Like we did here to the downside, I know some people would have probably looked at this and gone, oh yeah, we could get a measure move down, right? We can get a measure move down from this descending triangle, and they'd have entered the position as soon as we broke it, and they'd be like, yeah, I'm in profit. Found support on this horizontal support line, and then we just pumped up from there. Like that momentum to the upside in terms of a percent, right? That is just some like 9% move, right? It's a 9% move. Wouldn't be a trade, right? That would just be you'd watching your account evaporate and you'd just be stopped out, right? So that's like a bad entry, and you would have, like, a bad trader would have just seen this dumping and just be like, oh my god, I'm getting in, I'm gonna miss it, the FOMO, like, oh my god. But no, obviously you wait for the retest because you could fake out, right? And that's why we'll be waiting for a retest for ADA, right? In terms of what's happening for on the RSI, we do have this pretty dominant trend line from before. I think we went to the midterm last time, yeah. Yeah, it works a lot better on the midterm. Yeah, so as you can see here, we do have this pretty dominant trend line on the RSI, which is basically an indication that we are going to come up. We are going to basically complete this measure move on this descending triangle and touch the top side of this trend line on the RSI, right? Definitely something to think about. Oh, it is pumping now, right? But with that being said, we do have this volume weighted ATR band, and we have been trending above it for quite a while, right? We're trending above it for quite a while. We lost it, so we're probably looking at testing it. We're looking at testing it and probably finding some resistance off that as well. So it's definitely something to think about in terms of position, right? If we can get above it, then that's going to be another line of confirmation that we could be completing this measure move, and that is for ADA on the midterm, right? In terms of the MACD for ADA on the midterm, in terms of trends, we have just set like a lower low on the MACD here in terms of downswing. In terms of the upwards, yeah, we did actually set a higher high in terms of an uptrend on the MACD here. We are currently trending down. And that is on the midterm, so we could be seeing this coming even lower. But as you can see, the price is pumping up, right? The price is pumping up, indicating that we're going to have a bullish crossover on the MACD, probably finding some sort of trend line looking like so, right? And it's an indication that we are probably going to come up and test this volume weighted ATR band, probably come over it a bit, maybe not complete the measure move as requested. But yeah, it's definitely something to think about when you're managing your position, if you were in a long already, right? If you got greedy and just jumped in. So definitely something to think about, because we would need to break this trend line on the MACD for us to set a higher high in terms of a trend, right? And to complete this measure move itself, right? Yeah, so that's my kind of view on ADA. Definitely something to think about. Just stop saying that, man. Yeah, so it's definitely a position there to think about. Definitely a position there to think about in terms of that measure move. and it is going to be a nice trade if it works out, if we can get that retest as I just said, right? I joined in late. What you think about Bitcoin is doing today? Can it go below 40k? Right? Let me have a look. In terms of, let's jump to the midterm, right? And jump to the midterm. The reason why I'm jumping to the midterm is because we've got this falling wedge on Bitcoin, right? This giant falling wedge on Bitcoin. It's healthy. We've got these touches, right? We got these touches, and we did actually lose this falling wedge, right? We have lost this falling wedge recently. If we are to get rejected and find resistance off this major trend line that we've got going on here for this falling wedge, we could be looking at a measure move down to 32, right? At the start of the stream, I did the midterm and the long term for Bitcoin, right? And I did say the likelihood of us like coming back down, none of us want to come down, right? We want to keep going up, right? So, but if we are to come down, then we are going to be entering a bear market, right? This is the bull market barrier. This is the bull market barrier, and if we basically lose that, then we're going to switch to a bear market. Sorry, we're going to switch to a bear market, and then we're going to see sort of mass sell-off, right? And that could indicate some sort of measure move from this price, right? Some sort of price looking around 38, 39. We could potentially find some support there and bounce, right? But basically, none of us want this Bitcoin to dump, right? We want this Bitcoin to stay up, because if Bitcoin goes down, we know what happens to the rest of the altcoins, right? They all plummet. And we don't want that. But yeah, in terms of dropping below 40k, that would be an insane lower low for Bitcoin, and that would be an indication that we are going to complete this measure move and drop down to 32, right? We don't want that, as I just said here. We do actually have this level of support. And we do have this level of support on the lower low that we created yesterday for Bitcoin. So that's definitely something to think about. And that basically brings me back to the short term for Bitcoin. As I said at the start of the stream, we do have this confirmation of this sideways channel that we've got going on, right? We've got a lot of confirmation of this sideways channel going on. But we do have this 55 moving average to get over. So if we don't get over from that, as you see, we have tested it here. We do have a little downwards momentum from there. If we don't get over the 55, we are looking to come down and test this lower side of this channel, and that is around 42. So near enough 40, but not quite there. We could have some sort of fake motion here. If we are to have that, then the trap zone for me, right, would be looking at something along the lines of this, So we could even wick down, basically doing a fake out for the measure move that I've got played out here, right? Yeah, so we could be looking, if we are to break this channel and break this trap zone that we've got going on here, then it is a potential short opportunity. Don't like to short a bull market, but if that happens, we could be looking at a switch on the bull market barrier into the bear market. Great short opportunity. In terms of percentages for that short, we'd be looking at a nice just over 7% gain there, right? And that would basically bring us just below 40k. In answer to your question, okay, definitely something to think about in terms of Bitcoin today. But as I said before, my prediction for Bitcoin is to come up, test this 55 again, and basically come down from there, right? And that will basically, in my opinion, bring down a lot of the markets. As we saw this morning, this pump in Bitcoin, it pumps a lot of the markets. If you look at the top 50 cryptocurrencies at the moment, I think it's like, yeah, 49 of them are actually up in price, right? 49 of them are up in price. And they're green, right? They're green. So it's everything's up, right? So this is basically going to create a bit of buying power. It's going to create the uneducated traders to go, oh yeah, everything's up. I need to get in along. I need to long everything, right? It's all going up again. And this is what's going to happen, right? This is what I think is going to happen, right? Just my opinion, right? I think we're going to come up, test this 55, and then they're going to dump the price down. The price is going to get dumped, as well as a lot of the altcoins, right? A lot of the top 50 altcoins, they're going to see a retracement as well. And that's why I'm waiting on a retracement for ADA. That's the wrong chart. That's why I'm waiting for a retracement for ADA, because then we could get in a nice little long from there. As you can see on the 4-hour chart, we do have a lot of buying power for ADA. So that's a potential good trade there, as discussed a minute ago. Let's jump back to Matic, right? Let's jump back to Matic. Just for you, Kieran, who missed the start of the stream, right? We are looking at a long position on Matic, right? We see the upwards potential for Matic. We see this giant rising wedge that we've got going on here. We could be looking at a nice long position. We're just waiting for that retest, as discussed. Like if I, no, I got rid of the chart actually. Don't know if you remember the other day you were on my stream and we had, we had this channel, right? We had a nice channel for for Matic, and we actually got in a nice long position, right? Nice long position, and we had the completion of the measure move last night, so that was a nice bit of profit. I think that was 12% or 15% or something like that. It was really good, to be honest. Yeah, look, it was around 12%, right? So that was a great bit of profit in terms of a measure move completed from that channel, right? In terms of coins that I'm going to do now, I need to really change that chart back. BTC, right? Yeah. BTC on the short term, so I can reference that. I'm just going to have some water. Lovely. Right, let's do, what coin should we do now? Do a bit of XRP, should we? Bit of XRP. I was looking at XRP yesterday, right? This is healthy. This is seriously healthy. We are due a serious breakout on XRP, right? So if you're looking at a position for XRP, this is what you want to be looking at, right? This right here, this giant symmetrical triangle, right? Look at that upwards gain, right? That upwards potential, right? This is what we're looking for in terms of a good trade. We're looking for that breakout to the upside, right? Or to the downside, obviously, depending what Bitcoin's going to do. But yeah, to the upside, that would be ideal. We obviously do have these levels of resistance to get through and this volume-weighted ATR band. But if we can get a nice upward swing like we have here and we cross that volume-weighted ATR band, the gains that we'll make from that as well is just ridiculous, right? Can't even see that myself. Yeah, 183%. That is just nuts, right? And that's the 4 hour for XRP if you guys want to bring that up and draw that yourself. Also, guys, if you're liking the content, if you're liking the stream, smash that like button blue. Helps me out tremendously. And if you want to see me stream every day, you want to trade with me every morning, hit that subscribe button as well. Because as well as trading, I do like speaking on camera and getting my opinion across and educating you guys as well for some of the inexperienced traders out there, right? So yeah, in terms of a measure move for this giant symmetrical triangle for XRP, we are looking at, this is obviously a non-greedy measure move, right? In crypto, we do the non-greedy measure move because it's likely to be a trap. So that's the measure move, right? Up to this level of resistance here, we've got the volume-weighted ATR band that we're going to tap as well, if we can get there. In terms of percent, right? And this is why I'm saying it's not greedy. We'll do the greedy one in a sec, right? 18% gain, right? That's a gain. It doesn't look as big as a symmetrical triangle is, but that is a gain. But in terms of a greedy measure move, right? We'll be looking at something like this. This is just ridiculous, right? Absolutely ridiculous. So, in terms of a greedy measure move, obviously, depending where we're going to break along this, let's get rid of that. Depending on where we're going to break along this trend line, right? This is the greedy measure move. So let's just do it on there, right? That is all the way up. We're going to see a $2.7 XRP, right? In terms of a percent for that greedy trade, right? Look at that, 70%, right? So that's definitely something to think about when trading XRP, right? In terms of that swing to the upside. But we all want it to go up, right? We all want it to go up. But it could go down, right? It could go down. So in terms of measurement to the downside, actually, no, that wouldn't be the most recent trend, right? This would be the most recent trend, the smaller one, right? The smaller one here, non-greedy. Obviously, depending on where we're going to break, it's going to look something like that. And it's pretty pathetic, actually. Yeah, to the downside, we'd be looking at, like, I suppose 16%. Still very good. I forget what time frame I'm on, right? So yeah, that's a nice trade in itself. So that's definitely something to think about. But also, we do have this zone, right? There is this zone with these wicks, right? These giant wicks that we've got going on. So if you're going to do some sort of trap zone, right? You do that copy and paste thing going on there, so you know it's horizontally parallel to the channel. It was horizontally parallel to the channel, right? Yeah, so we'd be looking at wicking around down there, wicking around down here. If we get down here, right, if we break this triangle, this giant symmetrical triangle, and we wick down, do not enter yet. Do not enter your short position because it's going to be a trap, right? As you can see here, we do have multiple traps, multiple wicks trapping you out, right? This is what they want. They want to go to all the traders. Yep, get them all in short, bang, stop loss. Get those positions, in a sense, liquidated, right? If you're leveraged up. Well, you would be leveraged up if it's a short. But yeah, so definitely something to think about in terms of XRP. Set your alerts. If you need to set your alerts, so you're not going to miss that trade. That is TradingView, of course. I'm not going to do a referral link for that. But yeah, so definitely something to think about for XRP. What should we have a look at next, right? Let me have a look. XP lawsuit isn't settled yet. Do you think S&P price will tank if they lose the case or vice versa? It's definitely going to have an effect on the price, right? It's definitely going to have an effect on the price regardless of what happens. If they win, the price is going to go up. If they lose, it's going to go down. Like, that's just basically what's going to happen. But it could fall in line with this symmetrical triangle. And that's probably why this is sort of formed, right? Because it's a consolidation period. It's been going up, but it's not touched this all-time high that we saw before, right? In terms of altcoins in general, we've seen a lot of all-time highs get broken recently, right? Obviously before Bitcoin dumped like a week or so ago, right? So in terms of ADA at the moment, it's a bit flaccid, but obviously the lawsuit is going to have an effect. I don't actually know when that lawsuit gets settled. A friend of mine was talking about the other day. I probably should do some research on that before entering the trade, right? So that's just a fundamental to think about. But yeah, in terms of actual like chart patterns, then this is a good trade that I will be looking at. But yeah, I definitely should take that lawsuit into account. But yeah, so should we move on to what can be a better entry for ADA nearby, and also what do you think SXP's future? Right, ADA. Back to ADA quickly. As I said a minute ago, right? As I said a minute ago for ADA, this is a pretty ugly triangle, but it's a triangle at the least, right? So yeah, descending triangle we got going on here. As you can see, it's because I'm on the wrong time frame, right? As you can see here, we have broken it to the upside, right? We have broken. What's happening to these lines? We have broken it to the upside, and that's definitely something to think about in terms of a long position, right? We don't want to be greedy. We don't want to get in just yet because we're waiting for that retest, right? We're waiting for that retest to the downside to get a better entry. We're very close, to be honest. We're really close to entering, and that has dumped since I last looked at it. So in terms of a long trade, in terms of a measure move, we could be looking at something along the lines of this, coming up to around $2.17 for ADA. In terms of percentages for that trade, if you were going to enter now, it would be around a 3% trade, and that's not a greedy measure move, right? That is literally like the smallest, most recent uptrend that we've had. If you're looking at a bigger measure move to be a bit more greedy, you could be looking at something like so or something like so, right? Depends how you're feeling, and depends on the fundamentals of what you need to get through, right? We do have the volume weighted ATR band up here, right? We do have that up there, and we know it primarily respects that, and that would fall in line perfectly with this measure move that we've got going in here. So that, and we do obviously have that horizontal level of resistance there to break. If we don't break that, if we could even get near to testing that, near to testing this volume weighted ATR band, and near to testing the previous all-time high for ADA, we would be looking in terms of a gain for that position. It's a nice 14% trade, right? A nice 14% trade on a Tuesday. On a Tuesday. But yeah, as you can see here, the price it's gradually falling, right? It's gradually falling. And as I said earlier, in terms of Bitcoin, right? In terms of Bitcoin, oh, that's the wrong one. I said we were looking at coming up and testing this 55 again. We didn't quite get there, but we have seen this momentum to the downside. And I think that we are going to come down and test the lower side of this channel that we've got here. The reason why I'm saying that for Bitcoin is that is going to have an effect on the price for ADA, right? We could be looking at breaking this trend line to the downside and potentially consolidating at the very end of this triangle. I know it's pretty rare to get to the end of the triangle like this, but it's something we could be looking at, right? And if that's not the case, we will be zooming out and we'll be looking at some different chart patterns, right? In terms of different chart patterns to be thinking about, because it might not even come off, right? It might not even come off, but in terms of different chart patterns to think about, I see some falling wedge forming here, right? Something like so. Yeah, it's more of a channel, near enough a channel, right? But yeah, so definitely something to think about because we could just see a swift rejection, right? We could just see a swift rejection from here, coming down, testing that 200. And that's why I say you've got to wait for that retest. You've got to wait for that retest and manage your position, manage your potential entry, right? We're testing the 21 here, right? We're testing this 21 moving average. And at this point in time, it looks like we're going to lose it. If we lose it, we are going to be coming down to this 200, right? And that is basically another indication that it's going to follow the price of Bitcoin, right? That's why I think you need to manage it accordingly. And in terms of an entry, I would probably hold off for now. Obviously, nothing I say is financial advice. It's just my opinions on what I think might happen. But yeah, this falling wedge actually looks a lot more reliable than that descending triangle that we had there. Obviously, we've got a lot of confirmation, a lot of touches. It's very nice. It's a nice pattern to think about, right? But yeah, in terms of measure move for this, we could be looking at something along the lines of this, right? if we are to break to the upside, and that's a 2.28, something to think about as well. But obviously, as I said, we do have this 55 moving average on the hourly time frame to think about, right? Now, if we bring up the RSI, for ADA, right? Let's get to a bigger time frame, right? Yeah, so as you can see here, we do have this pretty dominant trend on the upside of the RSI. But in order to get to that, we need some sort of swing. We need some buying power. We need some buying power to even see a test, right? We need some buying power to even see a test on this, oh, wrong tool again, on this test for ADA. And that would basically indicate a price break to the upside, right? A price break to the upside would be a price break, a buying power section on the RSI. God, my stomach's rumbling. Having a breakfast. But yeah, in terms of the MACD, yeah, something to think about definitely when trading the RSI, right? When trading ADA, right? Definitely got to think about all the different I guess fundamentals of putting that trade on, right? But yeah, manage your position accordingly, manage your entry accordingly. In terms of what's happening on the MACD right now, we have just set a new trend on the downside, right? With new trend on the downside for the MACD, so we could be looking at something even potentially coming even lower than that. So if we're going to get a swift rejection off this trend line here on this falling wedge, we could be looking at something looking like that, right? And then we're going to have to create higher lows from there, and that basically indicates that we're potentially going to see coming down, test off the 55, and just consolidate in this falling wedge for a bit longer, right? That's what I can see in terms of the MACD, right? And that's obviously on the downtrend predation, if that's the right word for that, right? I'm trying to learn new words and all that. Yeah, in terms of the MACD, right? So in terms of the uptrend for the MACD, as you can see here, we have just about maybe broke a new high. Just about maybe, yeah, just about broke a high, indicating a new trend, right? But obviously we are in a downtrend here, so we do need to think about the next point of respect, if it's even going to respect this this potential trend line that we've got going on the MACD here. We could be looking at something along the lines of this, which would indicate some nice small, well, some pretty small waves to the upside, but that is also an indication that we're going to get lower, right? We're going to get lower in terms of a downtrend, and then have a little bullish crossover, respecting this trend line here, and then pretty flatted from there, probably just trending down, and that's an indication that we're going to be trending down into this wedge. Yeah, so I probably wouldn't be getting it along, right? Just something to think about, right? Obviously, it's not financial advice, it's just opinions, right? That's kind of ADA. Hope I've answered your question. Jump back to Bitcoin quickly. The wrong tool again, drawing everywhere. As you can see, we are still in this channel, right? Have a look at the chat. Oh yeah, I didn't answer that SXP future, right? What do you think about workhorse distribution speculations going on currently? The video is going viral. Fear propagated from the video might as well tank the price. Not a clue, bro. Definitely need to research that after the stream. That sounds really interesting. Yeah, thank you for that insight. I'll definitely research that. If it's going viral, I'd like to jump on it now, but obviously I'm streaming, so I can't. I did want to stream a bit longer today, because I didn't stream for very long. I only streamed like an hour and a half yesterday, so I did want to see if I can hit like that 2 hour, 3 hour mark. That'd be the longest time for me, and obviously it's confidence building for me as well, because obviously it's my fourth stream, right? So obviously I'm still nervous, still trying to get my words out properly, still messing up in a sense, so just have to bear with me. But that's why I want to do a longer stream and basically improve, right? Because the only way you're going to improve is just do it, right? You master something if you do it for 10,000 hours. So that's kind of my theory on that. But yeah, let's go to what was that coin? SXP's future, right? Let me have a little look, see if I can get a chart for that. SXP. Here we go. Don't think I've ever traded this. Right, yeah. If we just go to the long term, let's start on the long term, the daily, right? I mean, to be honest, it's pretty healthy. Pretty healthy. Broke your previous all-time high when it was launched, or when it actually came onto Binance, right? So it's pretty healthy. You've got some nice swings. I wouldn't say these down swings here are unhealthy. I'd actually say they're healthy, because if you look at the buying power up from there, it's healthy. If we were just going up continuously, like a lot of the charts, parabolic, then we're going to be looking at some sort of big crash down, right? Obviously, these are pretty big percentage falls, right? So like 40% is quite big, right? But in my opinion, you can see the upwards momentum, right? You can see the upwards momentum. If we stay in a bull market for Bitcoin, we're looking we'd be looking to go higher, right? We'd be looking to go higher. As you can see, we are setting higher lows. We're not setting lower lows. So it means we're going to go higher on the daily, right? In terms of chart patterns that you've got going on here. That's the wrong tool again. In terms of chart patterns that you've got, and again. Come on, mate. Yeah, in terms of chart patterns you've got going on here, nothing really that great. It looks a bit of a broadening wedge, to be honest with you. Yeah, from around here, if we're going to go to there. It's not quite straight enough to be a channel. So yeah, pretty broadening in my opinion, and I don't like broadening wedges in crypto. I don't like them in crypto. They don't seem to play out because the swings are big, but I just don't like them, man. I don't like trading them. But if we're going to be going on the 2 all-time highs from before, we could just basically just plot out some pretty dominant trend lines on the daily. We'll be going to the short term in a sec, right? But yeah, another broadening wedge, right? We don't like them at all, right? So let's move down some time frames and see what we can make from that. But yeah, just a brief summary. We're not setting lower lows at this point in time. We've got a little way to go to get that. So I think we're probably going to come up, smash these moving averages, and come up and test this volume weighted ATR band on the long term, right? And that's around a $5, right? $5. We're going to move to the 4-hour time frame here. Let's get rid of these moving averages, should we? Yeah, 4-hour time frame. I see some sort of downwards channel going on here, right? It's a downwards channel going on. Maybe not as healthy as I originally first thought. We could be looking at something along the lines of this, right? Quite small, but a lot of tests. Probably a nice big zone. Nice big zone to think about here in terms of faking, right? In terms of what's that word? Trap zone, right? In terms of a trap zone, right? Trapping you into your position. But at this point in time, you can see it's just riding this trend line. It's respecting this trend line all the way down. So we should be looking at some sort of upwards power, right? We haven't had a lot of buying potential from here, but we have been going down for quite a while. So we should hopefully we don't continue going down, because if you continue going down, you could be looking at coming to this volume weighted ATR band, which is primarily respected on the 4-hour. If we go back in history and see how it's respected on this chart, right, on this coin itself, as you can see, it's the very bottom, right? We look at the very bottom or the top, right? We have some spikes, we get over it, we take our profit, and we always come back down, right? Definitely something to think about, right? You see, it's just respected. It's the volume weighted ATR band. If you don't know, we got this green one and we got this red one, right? So as you can see, it's just respected. It's a great indicator that I use. It'll be available on lease subscription basis in the future, but obviously I'm not set up with that. I just want to kind of master the sort of speaking on the mic and the streaming stuff first before I start throwing products at people, right? But yeah, so in terms of seeing an absolute bottom, I could see it being around 2.7. That's obviously if we continue this downwards momentum, right? Hopefully, sorry, if we are going to see some sort of bottom like that, I would be looking at buying, right? I'd be looking at buying because obviously you can see the upwards momentum, right? You can see the upwards momentum from, I don't know the fundamentals about this coin, but you can see the upwards momentum from when it bottoms out. And look at that. In terms of gains, right, you could be looking at something just obviously average there, right? We're looking at like near enough 100%, right? It's 95%, right? That's a silly gain, right? If you're going to get that, soon, if you're going to get that again from this volume weighted ATR band, just do 99 for now. We could be looking at around $5, just over $5, right? So that's something to really think about when trading this coin. Obviously, as I said, I don't know the fundamentals of this coin, but yeah, in terms of breaking out to the upside, if we don't see a lower low in terms of the price here, we could be looking at a measure move looking something like so. Obviously, depending on where we're going to break along this channel, and if we can get over the 200 MA and the 500 MA, right, and through this price action channel, right. In terms of where we're going to break, it'd probably be down here if we're going to see this sort of upward swing here. I can see some sort of ascending triangle forming there in terms of the shorter term, right. Yeah, right, so you've got some sort of ascending triangle forming here in terms of this channel. Just draw that quickly. Yep. In terms of this channel, you've got some sort of ascending triangle forming here, right? So in terms of a measure move for that, you could be looking at, we'll probably go for a bigger one here, right? We'll probably go for a big one here because it will probably line up perfectly with the top of this channel, right? And then we could be seeing, so in terms of the short term for this coin, I think we're going to be seeing testing the top side of this channel around $4.03. In $4.30, right? In terms of measure move for that, it's like 11% gains. So that's great. It does look like we're trending to the upside at this point in time. But as I said, if we are to break this channel to the upside on the where are we? The short term, right? On the short term, right? We're going to be looking at a nice, I nearly said nice little, a nice huge gain of 17%, right? So that's definitely something to think about when trading this coin. Hope I've answered your question. But obviously this is the top, right? This is going to be the top, or we're going to primarily respect it or wick over it, right? And from there, that would be a nice take profit position, or to sell the coins that you've been hodling and wait for a nice re-entry. But at this point in time, if we jump back to the long term, right? If we jump back to the long term for this coin, I think we are in a bit of an accumulation point. We're in an accumulation point, and you should be, obviously not financial advice, you should be accumulating as much as you goddamn can. Because you see these upswings, as I just spoke about, right? You see these upswings, right? But yeah, I'm going to call it with that coin. Hope I answered your question. Yeah, same thing on the chat. So I'm going to go with, what coin should we do now? I'm going to do BNB, right? BNB, I'm extremely bullish on BNB and have been for a while. I'm on the wrong chart, right? Not on the wrong chart for this, but I'm on my wrong save chart. So let me get rid of that. Get back to Bitcoin for the short term. Yep, short term for Bitcoin. And this is my swing chart, right? So what do you say? B and B, right? I'm just going to have some water. Oh. God damn, that's good. Right, let's get rid of all this mess. Get rid of all this mess. As you can see here, we do have this level of support down at 504, right? I'm extremely bullish on BNB and have been for a while, right? In terms of the long term, in terms of a measure move for the long term, you can see we've near enough completed it from this giant triangle that we got going on here, right? It's more of a wedge in my opinion, but yeah, cool. Right, so in terms of a measure move that we had, right? In terms of a measure move that we had on this triangle, it is huge. It's absolutely massive. This is the greedy ones, right? As I said, we'd have come down, we'd have got back in on the retest, right? We'd have got in and we'd have come out here. So in terms of percentage for that gain to the downside, that is just juicy. 25%, right? 25% gain for BNB in terms of a short position. And that would be leverage. Lovely. Right now for BNB, we're looking on the midterm, right? Let's go to the short term. As you can see here, straight away, jumping out of me, we've got an ascending triangle, right? Jumping out of me, we've got an ascending triangle. So for the short term for BNB, what I'm thinking, right? That's more symmetrical, actually, yeah. Yeah, more symmetrical when we put it. Because it's not quite, for it to be properly ascending, right, it needs to be symmetrical, right? It needs to be up here. We need to see that touch up there. But obviously we haven't seen that, so we could be looking at something looking like that, and that basically is a symmetrical triangle instead, right? Still going to get that breakout, right? We're still going to get that breakout, whether it's to the upside or to the downside. As you can see, we do have the volume-weighted ATR band chilling on the lower side here. So that is an indication that we are going to come up from there, right? Because as I said before, we primarily respect it, right? We primarily respect it, or we ride along it, right? Or we ride along it. As you can see, it's the top usually, or just here, like it's the bottom, right? Or we just wick below it or something like that, right? But yeah, in terms of a measure move for this, this symmetrical triangle that we've got going on here, we could be looking at something like this, right? If we're to break and get over this 55 moving average, we could be looking at this. Coming up, testing this level of support at around 547, right? I did actually sell a lot on my BNB, I think around, I can't remember what the price was, but yeah, I sold a lot of it. I was holding low to BNB, right? I was extremely bullish on it, and I still am extremely bullish on it, right? Because I do think it's a lot cheaper than Ethereum, right? In terms of blockchain, in terms of fees, in terms of transaction. It's a lot more reliable, in my opinion, than Ethereum. I'm not a fan of Ethereum, and I don't understand why it's pumping like crazy, right? Obviously, they've got their announcement in, I think it's July. But yeah, I'm definitely more bullish on BNB because we can make them big gains, right? They're mega gains in BNB. So if you haven't got BNB in your portfolio, I'd suggest now, right? I'd suggest now. It's on sale, right? It's cheap, right? I can see us literally seeing like a $2,000 BNB by the end of the year or something crazy like that, right? So definitely something to think about. Obviously, it's not financial advice, just my opinion on what I think might happen. In terms of a short-term trade for BNB, as just discussed, I got rid of that measure move that I was doing. Yeah, in terms of that measure move there, we're going to test this level of support around 4, test this level of resistance at around 547, right? In terms of percent for that trade that we'd be looking at, we'd be looking at a nice little 4% gain, right? Could be a bit bigger, right? Maybe the chart could be a bit bigger for you guys. We could be looking at around a 4.5% gain. Maybe a bit more. No, just a bit under, right? 4.5% gain. Lovely indeed, right? Obviously, on predication, if that's the right word, if obviously we got to get through this 55 moving average on the hourly time frame, right? And we got to see some sort of break in terms of this resistance point at 547. So yeah, good trade there to think about. If that's to the upside, if we're breaking to the downside, right? If we're going to break to the downside, I could probably see us doing something along the lines of this, right? Something along the lines of this, obviously depending on where we're going to break along the symmetrical triangle, we could be coming down and testing this level of support round down here, right? Down around here. It's at 499, right? Definitely something to think about when trading this if you're going to be looking at getting in a position soon. But obviously, we do have the nice support of the volume-weighted ATR band down here as well. So if we do see some extreme dumping power, we're going to see at least some sort of correction, right? We're going to see some sort of correction from this volume-weighted ATR band, whether it's a bit lower, whether it's not, whether this just comes down here and then we ride the wave along it and then hopefully curl back over and come back round. That's the sort of the I was going to say ideal scenario, but it's not the ideal scenario. The ideal scenario is we break up and we keep going up, and we come up and break this 200 moving average there, right? But yeah, in terms of ideal scenario, if we were to dump and complete this measure move, would be a nice swift pump off this volume-weighted ATR band. Now, if we go back in history on BNB, right, you see this buying power. You see this momentum to the upside from the volume-weighted ATR band. Wrong tool again. Volume-weighted ATR band here. Look at that buying power. That right there, that's what we want. We need that to push us up. And obviously, Bitcoin is in charge of a lot of the altcoins prices, so we need to keep our eyes on that firmly, right? We need to keep our eyes on that firmly. Let's have a little check back and see where we're at. In terms of, like, my prediction at the moment is to come down to the bottom side of this channel. As you can see, we are swinging down. We are breaking moving averages. We just broke this price action channel here, and as you can see, we primarily either we test it and respect it. If we're red, candles are red, we're in the downtrend. If they're blue, we're signaling some sort of uptrend, right? Yeah, there's not really that many uptrends, but yeah, as you can see here, nice uptrend. You ride it all the way along, right? That's a great indicator that I use. As you can see here with Bitcoin, we are smashing some moving averages here. We're testing this 21 that we got going on here at 44.6, right? 44.692. We're testing that at the moment. If we can find support and go up from there, we'd be looking at some sort of consolidation period and a potential channel on the short term for you scalpers, right? Then we could be looking at some sort of measure move down. In my opinion, right now, I think what we're going to happen, we're going to lose all these moving averages and we're going to start plummeting down, right? We're going to start plummeting down and test the bottom side of this price channel here, right? Now, that brings me back to BNB, right? Brings me back to BNB because if that's to happen on Bitcoin, right, it's likely to do something to the price of BNB, and that could be literally the measure move we've all been waiting for, the measure move we've been waiting for, right? The measure move we've been waiting for to come down if we're going to get in a nice little short position. So that is something to think about, a trade to think about for you guys. In terms of percent for that trade, we'd be looking at a nice little 2%, right? Nice little 2%. Doesn't sound as great as 15, 20%, but it's 2% at the end of the day. If you're leveraging that, juicy gains, right? Let's jump to Solana. Let's jump to Solana. What do you think about Litecoin and VeChain? Right, I swear you asked this the other day, bro. Yeah, let me jump to Litecoin. Litecoin. Obviously, if you guys have any questions or any requested coins in the chat, just hit me up, drop it in the chat there, and I'll try and do a TA for you. Well, I will do a TA for you. And then, yeah, just if you're liking the content, smash that like button. Helps me out tremendously. Turn that guy blue. Turn that thumbs up blue, right? Helps me out, right? If you like the content and you want to see me stream every morning, you want to trade with me every morning, then hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. You're never going to miss my daily upload, which happens at lunchtime, because I do a video every day in the morning, and then I do a video every day at lunchtime, and then I do a stream every morning, right? I want to be doing like 2.5 hours every morning, because one, I do really enjoy it, and you should be doing the things you enjoy, and two, I love trading and I love educating, and it's good when I have an uneducated trader come in, right, and I get to teach them something or two. That's I feel achievement from that, right? It's good. But yeah, straight onto Litecoin here. Maybe I'm rambling too much, right? Let's go to we're on the hourly. Let's go to the long term. As you can see, we do have this giant channel, right? This giant channel. It's healthy, right? Obviously, you've got these pullbacks. 30% pullbacks, but it's healthy. We're still going up at the end of the day. We form this nice pattern. And in terms of a measure move, we'd be looking for that. Obviously, I've got it drawn out here, but let me redo that for you. Yeah, in terms of a measure move we're looking for here, we could be looking at something along the lines of this, right? Yeah, exactly the same thing, right? The reason why I redrew it is because I could have done a measure move from the live price action before, and that would have looked something like this, right? So obviously, I've done it on the most recent trend, right? I've done it on the most recent trend. and just moved it to the upside. Yeah, so if we're looking at breaking to the upside in terms of this trend, then in terms of a percent, we're looking at around 40%, right? That's a lovely trade in itself. Obviously, on the long term, not no scalps here, yeah. not scalping a Litecoin on the daily, right? But yeah, as you can see, we do have this volume weighted ATR band that we are continuously trading along, right? We've been continuously trading along it for quite a while, right? Since November, since the bull market basically begun. So we definitely need to think about that, because if we can get above it, we indicate some sort of move to the upside, right? As you can see here, continuous, we get above it, we see a pump to the upside. Get above it, see a pump to the upside. So if we're to test it, well, we're testing it at the moment. If we don't find resistance from it, if we find support on it, we'd be looking at a pump, right? We'd be looking at a pump to come up and test the previous all-time high. The previous all-time high in terms of candle close is around 386. Around that price there, so I could basically if we can break the volume weighted ATR band here, we could be looking at a way to the upside, testing the all-time high of 387 on the closing candle, of course, but the actual all-time high is 414. Testing the top side, if we find support on this horizontal level of resistance here, if we can find support on that, then we'll be testing the top side of this channel, right? And that is, we've tested it a lot, right? We've tested it a lot, so it's an indication we are imminently for a break. We're imminent for a break, and that's that measure move I was talking about, right? And that was that, I think it was that 30% gain or something, right? No, it was a bit bigger than that. Is that right? No, that's wrong. It's got to be wrong, right? Let me do a measure move again. Yeah, obviously depending on where we're going to break, if we're going to come up and test, consolidate along it. Obviously you've got this level of support as well. That's not going to go away, so we could see some sort of bounce period and then a break later on. Definitely something to think about. Definitely something to take into account. I need some new words. Definitely something to take into account in terms of percentages for Litecoin. If we are going to break that, that's 36%. Yeah, 36%, not 80%. I was thinking that's a bit mad. Yeah, at this point in time, if we don't find support on this volume weighted ATR band and we get rejected from it, I can see us coming down and testing this 55, right? Not ideal, not ideal. In terms of percent, we're dumping literally 9-10%, right? But that'll obviously be indicated on potentially the price of Bitcoin. If we're to dump there, then this is obviously going to have some sort of effect, as we've seen like the last few days, right? And we are on the daily. If you guys want to bring this up and copy this lovely channel here that we've got going, it's really healthy. It's really nice to look at. I like that. Yeah. So if we are going to lose it, if we are going to lose this 55 here, we're going to come down, test the bottom side of this channel. I don't see that happening anytime soon, really, because that is a $250 Litecoin, and that's a bit crazy, right? That's a bit crazy considering the gains that we've been having recently. But as you can see, it's not uncommon for it to dump like that. It's not uncommon for it to dump like that, right? So it's definitely something to think about when trading Litecoin, right? On the long term, right? On the short, let's jump to the midterm. Let's jump to the midterm. Yeah, midterm right now. We've got a bit of a channel. We've got a bit of a channel, right? That's the channel. Yeah, we've got a bit of a channel coming down. Potentially looking. That's wrong. Let me go again. Yeah, potentially looking something like so. We actually have just pretty much broken that channel, so we could be looking at a nice swing here, right? So get your limit orders ready. No, yeah, in terms of a channel that we've got going on here, we'd be looking at something like that. It's more of a falling wedge, right? Yeah, in terms of a falling wedge that we've got going on here, I'll probably go from there, right? Yeah, falling wedge that we've got going on here. Yeah, we could be looking at some sort of measure move to the upside, right? And that's another indication that we're going to come up, test this 55, break it, test this level of resistance, break it. Hopefully, we can get there. If we can't, we're going to be consolidating around it and probably see some sideways action, right? So don't think it's going to be some sort of quick position, some quick, nice 30% gain, right? It's not. I don't think it's going to be, right? I think we're going to have a nice, probably consolidation sideways period here after this pump that we've just had, right? Which for Litecoin, you need it, right? You need it. You've been seeing these dumps, right? These dumps have been going on for quite a while. So you need some sort of pump to the upside. So in terms of confidence that I have in this, I can see it happening, but obviously I do always wait for the retest. So if we are to retest, and we do have this 200 moving average here, and this is the 4-hour time frame, right? We do have this 200 moving average here that we need to think about. Because if we can find a nice level of support on that, it's an indication we're going to go up, right? So if we do this measure move from that 200, that support point there, right, we could be looking at seeing a 300 and near enough 330 measure move on Litecoin there. Yeah, it is Litecoin, not VeChain. He tripped up there. And that's a nice, just under 12% gain. That's just under a 12% gain, right? But as I said, do not expect that to be instant. I wouldn't expect that to be instant. We do have this 55 moving average here. You can see we respect that, right? We respect the 55 either side, right? If we don't respect it, we break it, right? Yeah, you can see the respect, right? We broke it, see the respect, push to the upside, right? So that's something to think about, because we could see swift rejection, consolidation around the 200 as well, potentially creating a scalping channel. But yeah, definitely something to think about when entering this trade, and that is why I'd be looking at hopefully finding some momentum from this 200 moving average, this purple one that we've got going down here, right? So yeah, that would be my opinions on Litecoin in terms of a potential trade. If we're gonna, we'll keep that for now. If we're gonna reference that to the RSI at this point in time, we do have this sort of trend line from the top of the RSI, right? Top of the most recent RSI on the 4th of May. We could be looking at coming up, right? We could be looking at coming up, seeing that buying power. We've seen that buying power. We could be looking at coming up, testing this zone of the RSI. We have only had two, right? Two little tests here. Well, this was the creation, so one test, right? We could be looking at coming up, seeing us tap this zone, seeing that buying power, seeing this measure move, potentially clearing the 55, and then finding this resistance level. Finding this resistance level at 327, not quite completing the measure move. So if you're going to enter that trade, right? If you're going to enter that trade and you can see us hitting the RSI, finding the resistance from there, and we're not quite complete, if the measure move is not quite completed, and we're finding resistance of this horizontal resistance line at 326, manage your position, right? You shouldn't be getting greedy for that. Literally, I don't know, it's like $4, right? It's not a lot at all, right? Obviously, depending on how much your position is worth and stuff like that, your margin. But yeah, so manage your position accordingly. These are factors that need to be taken into account, right? And don't get greedy. If you've got that much profit and you're waiting for that little bit there, and there's an indication you could see a rejection on the RSI, don't be greedy. Get the hell out of there. Get out of there. Get out of that position. Take that profit. Never be ashamed with taking profit. And even if it pumps 300% from there, right? Which is not gonna, but if it pumps like 300% from there, you still took profit, man. You still took profit. That's my opinion on taking profit, right? Right. As you can see here on the MACD, we do see a completion of this trend, right? We saw a completion of this trend on the 4-hour time frame in terms of an uptrend, right? Saw a completion. We've just had a bullish crossover. We've just had a new trend set, right? In terms of a factor to factor into what's happening on the chart, it's likely, right? It's likely that we're going to come up, right? It's another indication that we're going to come up and test this 55. We could break through it, right? If we're going to break through it on the 55 MA, if we're going to break through that, we could be seeing a nice strong uptrend setter. An uptrend setter on the MACD. I'm drawing on the RSI, yeah. An uptrend setter on the MACD here, right? So that'd be the indication of a new trend. And then we're going to see, that's the wrong tool, and then we're going to see the period of not quite consolidation, but higher lows from there in terms of uptrends, right? So we could see something like this coming up, testing the top, right? Well, creating the top, and then we're going to see a bearish crossover, and we'll get onto that in a sec, because obviously we do have this dominant lower low here that we need to think about in terms of a trend, right? All that trend could be over. We need to see the downwards momentum that we're going to have on the MACD, and that's another thing to think about when managing this long position if you are going to get in, right? But yeah, I do think we are going to come up. I do think we are going to come up and test this 55 and set a nice strong trend on the MACD there. But yeah, so that'd be my opinions on Litecoin. I think I need to speed this up, right? I think I'm rambling on a bit too much. But yeah, if I jump to VeChain. Right? No, where's VeChain? That lovely. VeChain. We'll start on the. Oh yeah, we've obviously got this giant triangle, right? We'll start on this long term. We've got this giant descending triangle. It's not essentially confirmed, but this is like some sort of idea of what could happen, right? Some sort of idea of what could happen. I mean, it could not be this pattern, but at this point in time, we do seem to sort of be respecting it on the daily, but we'll see something else, right? Because obviously we do have these giant wicks to the downside, right? We have just hit the volume weighted ATR band on VeChain itself, but yeah, in terms of a giant pattern which could play out, this is one of them, right? Let's move down to the 4-hour. I'm just going to get rid of these lines, right? I'm going to get rid of them. No, I'm not, apparently. Yeah, here we go. Get rid of them, right? So yeah, as you can see here on the midterm for VeChain, right? We've obviously got these dominant positions, dominant levels of resistance at the top, right? And I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the all-time high for, yeah, it was the all-time high for VeChain there. So yeah, definitely something to think about, right? Because you can see we got this pretty big channel, right? We got a pretty big channel, right? If we go from the closing all-time high, right? Yeah, closing all-time high down to where we're at here, like we can see we've got levels of support, right? There's levels of support in terms of this channel, right? In terms of this channel that we're looking at here, there's levels of support to the bottom side and not quite to the top. So we should probably move this down. I didn't actually see that top there, right? Should probably be moving this down. That's the one to move it down. Yeah, so moving it down like that, right? And that basically creates some sort of trap zone and some sort of resistance point to get over there, right? But yeah, as you can see, we do have this pretty dominant channel, right? We do have this pretty dominant channel. It's not the nicest looking channel in the world. There's not that much confirmation, but we've got obvious support lines, support points here that we are currently testing, right? We're currently testing this level of support, not that level of support, this level of support here, and coming up to test the 21 moving average here. As you can see, we do find a lot of resistance at this point. We have found, what, 4 sets of resistance off this 21 moving average here. So, and you can see the downward spikes every time we've tested that. So that is something to think about, right? It's something to think about on the midterm, because if we are not going to break this moving average, we could be seeing some sort of downwards momentum and testing the lower side of this channel again, that level of support that we've got down here, right? Right now, if we lose this channel, we're going to be looking at something in terms of a measure move. No, we're not. That's just ridiculous. VeChain's never going to do that. Yeah, so we could be looking at some sort of measure move like that, but I wouldn't be seeing us getting anywhere near that, because obviously we've got this volume weighted ATR band here, and we, as I said before, it's a great tool. If we're above it, we're trending above it, right? If we're below it, we're in this sort of section, and if not, we're testing it, right? We test it. As you can see here, we've got some really good trades here, but it basically finds the top for us. It finds the top for us and also the bottom. We haven't been fortunate enough to hit it on the bottom yet on VeChain. Yeah, so as you can see here, this dump back in December 2020 when we absolutely tanked it down, right? Deep sea dive in that VeChain. You can see we found that support. We came up from there, right? So it's definitely something to think about, because we do have this volume weighted ATR band kind of holding the fort, right? And that basically falls dead in line with this wick that we've got here, right? So I can see, and you can see the buying momentum from when that happened, right? The buying momentum when it was, you've obviously got a lot of buying power, a lot of limit orders stacked up through this zone, right? A lot of limit orders stacked up through this zone. So if we are to lose this, this pretty dominant channel, right? We are likely to come up and reclaim it, as we did here, right? And that all happened literally in the space of 4 hours, right? And if you're a fan of VeChain and stuff, you're probably there for that and saw all that happen, right? But yeah, definitely something to think about. I can see us coming up, and hopefully, because obviously we've tested this 21 moving average for a while, hopefully we can break it. But then we do have this crossover on the moving average here, which indicates a break in the price, and that is the 55 and the 200. So they're pretty dominant ones, right? They're pretty dominant. If something's happening, these two are causing it, right? So you need to think about that when entering VeChain. But in terms of hodling, right, I think it's underpriced right now. I think it's underpriced. I'm pretty bullish on VeChain. I always have been, right? They're the pretty dominant crypto over in the east of the world, right? In China and stuff like that. Like my brother lived in China for 3 years, right? So he obviously did a lot of crypto stuff over there, and yeah, he says VeChain it's going to do some crazy things in China, right? So it's definitely something to think about. Yeah, but we do need to get through the 200, through the 55. And if that's to happen, we are going to come up, test the top side of this channel, right? That's what we want for VeChain. Test the top side of this channel, test these horizontal levels of resistance to try and break them. If we can break them and ride along the top of this volume weighted ATR band, as we tend to do on this chart, as you can see here, look, we break it, we come down, we test it, we reclaim it, then we find support all the way along it. All the way along it, we ride it. Just move that channel. All the way along it, we ride it, and that is this red line here, right? All the way along it, we ride it, okay? Continuously. continuously. And that's the volume weighted ATR and how great tool it is. If we're above it, we're riding that wave. We're riding that bike, right? So if we can get above it, and ride above it, then we're going to see some new all-time highs of VeChain, and that is something to definitely think about and something to take into account. In terms of the RSI for the 4 hour for VeChain, right? I'm trying to speed things up a bit, right? Bursting for the loop. I made one of those. I was basically stuck the other day. I basically had to end my stream early because I obviously drank too many cups of tea and I really needed the loo, and I was holding it for like God knows how long. Yeah, I've got a be right back screen on my stream now, so I'm gonna be putting that on shortly after I've done this coin. And then did you buy? Yeah, I'll do that after I've gone to the loo, mate, basically. But yeah, so you see this RSI on the 4 hour chart here. The RSI on the 4 hour chart, I can see it's coming up, right? And that's an indication of us breaking these major moving averages and basically coming up to the top and testing the top side of this channel, right? If we're to do that on the 4 hour, that's a lot of momentum to the upside, right? It's a lot of momentum to the upside. So that is definitely something to think about in terms of VeChain, right? I don't see us breaking this anytime soon because we've only recreated it here. We've tested it here. I can see us basically probably coming up, testing it again, and then coming down from there. And that could maybe indicate we're doing some sort of test on the 55 and the 200 here, and then potentially losing them and testing this level of support down at 16 again, right? But in terms of trading positions, I wouldn't be inclined to trade this right now, just because I like trading chart patterns, right? And at this point in time, there's nothing really tickling my fancy on the 4 hour because this channel, it's there, right? It's there. It's not the healthiest thing in the world, right? But it's there, right? It's still here. If we're to break above it, then yeah, I'd definitely be looking at some sort of long position from there. But at this point in time, for me, VeChain's a no chain. But yeah, let me have a look at the MACD for you. Yeah, we got pretty dominant uptrends here. We've got pretty dominant uptrends that we're probably looking at respecting here. So we can actually go from that one, right? Yeah, we can go from that one there. And look, we've got a long way to go before we even think. And this is like the top side trends. Obviously, we've got a bit of momentum here, but that's the flaccid part of that channel, right? And that's the unhealthy part of that channel, the sideways sort of action, right? There's a channel in a channel there, right? But yeah, so if we're going to come up, we're going to be probably respecting this line. That's another indication that we're going to come up, potentially test this 200 and the 55, and probably tank it down from that. Have a bearish crossover on the MACD there, and then see some sort of respect of this trend line on the MACD, which I've just seen, right? And obviously this is the 4 hour chart. So if you want to bring this up, bring it up and copy what I'm doing. But yeah, so obviously we've just had a bullish crossover on the MACD here, right? That's an indication we're starting a trend, right? We're starting an uptrend here, and that's an indication we're coming to test this 21 moving average here. And then hopefully we can find the momentum to come and test this top side of this trend line and test these 55 and the 200, right? In terms of the downtrend that we've got going on here, if we see a rejection, I can see some sort of consolidation period between the 21, between the 200 and the 55, and some sort of sideways action going on here, right? I don't really like how small this is, right? Yeah, that's a bit better. Yeah, some consolidation period along here, right? And that's when we're going to see these trends basically fizzle out, right? We're going to see these trends sort of fizzle out, and then we're going to be awaiting a potential breakout of a new trend, right? And that could be either a breakout to the downside of this channel, breakout to the downside of this channel, potentially respecting this volume weighted ATR band as discussed. That we're going to get to this level of support here, but we could. That's at 9 cents. If we get there, it's a seriously big buying opportunity, and that's why I think that's why I don't think we're going to get there, to be honest. We're going to be bought up like a lot before then, right? But if we're going to see a break to the upside, as discussed. We're going to see a new trend set on the MACD, something that's going to play out in the future. Yeah, that could be the measure move that I was just talking about on the midterm, right? Right, I am going to shoot off to the loo, but I'm not going to be ending the stream, guys. I'm just going to put a be right back. I'll be as quick as I can, have some more water, and yeah, be back in a bit. But yeah, honestly, if just going to the loo, but if you like the content, turn that like button blue, helps me out tremendously. If you want to see me streaming every morning, you can dump your altcoins in the chat, and I'll be doing a little TA for you. Obviously, it's my fourth stream ever on camera, so bear with me a bit. I'm trying to improve and all that, trying to get my point across properly in a professional way with a little bit of a hint of comedy as well. But yeah, so turn that like button blue. Helps me out tremendously, right? But yeah, I'll be right back in a minute. Hello guys, I'm back, and thank you for hanging around for me when I had that little break there. Obviously, I've been streaming for quite a while now, an hour and a half, so did need a little toilet break there. But yeah, I see someone in the chat asking for Digibyte. Let me see if I can bring that chart up for you there. DGB, I think yeah, DGB, right? They do have a tether pairing on Binance, right? Which is good. We'll start on the long term, right? We'll start on the long term. As you can see, right, it's not bad right now. It's not bad. We're seeing them nice upswings, right? It's a nice uptrend. But obviously we are on this pullback level, right? What I can see happening, right? Just on the long term right now, we have tested this 55 moving average. We've tested this 55 moving average, and I can see us basically potentially coming down, testing this level of support at around 8 cents, right? Around 8 cents. Obviously, to be honest with you, I don't really know anything about this coin, but in terms of what I think could potentially happen here, we have seen all-time highs before. These all-time highs creating these resistance levels, right? Creating these resistance levels. We found support on it last time here, and we pumped, right? We found support and we pumped, but it's only right that we have some sort of retracement, right? We have some sort of retracement, so that's why I can see us coming down and testing this level of support here, testing these previous all-time highs, and potentially seeing a consolidation period from here. And when I say that, I mean a sideways period where we create potentially some sort of channel here, some sort of channel like that, and then we're going to be preparing for a next leg up because in terms of a healthy chart, we can't just keep going up, right? We can't just keep going up. We need to come down and have those corrections, right? So yeah, on the long term, I think we're going to come down and test that 8 cents mark. If we're going to jump jump to the midterm here. What we've got going on. We do have a bit of a downwards channel going on here. Let me bring that a bit bigger, right? Yeah, so I can see some sort of falling wedge pattern we've got going on here just from looking at the chart, right? We can see this dominant trend line coming down here from the top side. In terms of the bottom side we've got going on, yeah, let's do it like that, right? Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, let's do it like this, right? As you can see, we do have this falling wedge coming down here, right? We do have these levels of support that we need to break, and we did currently come back and test that. We did unfortunately set a lower low in terms of this trend. We did set a lower low, so that is an indication we could be coming down again. Hopefully not for your sake if you're not short. But what I think could potentially happen if we're looking for a break towards the upside, we could be looking something along the lines of this, right? In terms of a measure move, if we can break this wedge to the upside. Just have a drink of water 1 sec, I didn't on the break. Yeah, so we do have these levels, this horizontal level of support and resistance here, right? We've got the resistance up this side, we've got the support down this side, right? Now, right now, we've still got 2 hours and 25 minutes left of this candle. We haven't come up and tested this top side yet. We haven't come up and tested this top side, this resistance point. So, I'd indicate we haven't got a lot of buying power at the moment. We're setting lower highs right here. We're setting lower highs, so that's an indication that we're going to come down, test this level of support, right? Test this level of support. Hopefully, we can hold it. If we can't hold it, then we're going to be coming down and testing the bottom side and setting a lower low in terms of this trend, right? Setting a lower low in terms of this trend, and we could, from there, we could potentially see a break to the downside, right? A break to the downside would directly line up. It was going to directly line up in terms of a measure move like this, right? It's going to directly line up with this volume weighted ATR band, because if the price is going to come down, obviously, depending on where we're going to break along this trend line, if we break to the downside, depending on where we break, and if the price comes down, right, the volume weighted ATR band, a tool that we use, a tool that I use to trade, right, it usually is primarily respected, right? It's usually primarily respected on the top side, and that's this red line, yellow line, this red line here. You can see it's primarily respected. If not, we trade above it and we ride that uptrend wave, right? But in terms of the downside, we're on the 4 hours. So yeah, it's primarily respected. It plots out the bottoms, basically. It literally plots out the bottoms before we swing back up. So it's an indication, right? You've got an indication here that we're going to break to the downside. We're going to break to the downside, set a lower low, break to the downside on this falling wedge. In terms of percent, you're looking at around a 16% trade if you're going to be shorting it. If you're going to be shorting Digibyte, I think you called it, yeah, Digibyte. Yeah, you're going to be shorting it, and then basically you're going to basically tap this volume weighted ATR band and sort of swing up from there, right? Swing up from there. Test this trend line again. You're going to be testing this falling wedge trend line again because obviously, as you can see, it's quite dominant. But we do have buying power. We've got buying power from this trend line, right? Buying power, and look at that consolidation there. There's buying power there. I'm not saying there's not buying power there. There's goddamn buying power there, right? So I see us basically coming up. If we respect that and find support, we could be looking at testing all of these levels of resistance that we've got going on here. If we can get through them by that point, right? By that point, we would have come down, completed a measure move. Nice short trade in there for you guys. Obviously, nothing I say is financial advice, just my opinions and educational purposes and all that jazz, right? You're going to come up, basically test these levels of resistance, right? If you can get support on them, we could be looking at some sort of price action looking like so, coming up in not quite a swing like that, but we're probably going to ride along it, consolidate for a bit, and that's when these major moving averages are going to be coming down, right? They're going to be coming down, and they're going to be coming down from this swing down that we've had here, right? They're going to be coming down from that, and that's when we need to basically test them. And if we can find support on those major moving averages, as you can see here, this is the 200 moving average, this purple one here. Look at this. The buying power, the upward swing you get from that, the support that you find on it, that's the wrong tool again, the support that you find on it is good. It's really, really good, right? You ride that moving average all the way along. So if you can reclaim that at around 11 cents, right, I can see basically the trend being reversed, the trend being reversing that you're basically stuck in at this point, right? The trend being reversing there and coming up and potentially testing, I think that's the all-time high, yeah, potentially the all-time high, right? The all-time high level of resistance here, around $16. In terms of time frames, I think you're a little way off, my friend. You're a little way off in terms of, like, that's the 20th of May, right? And that's on the predication that we're gonna break this sometime soon, right? We could still follow this down for a bit and then break it later on, and that's the 24th of May. In terms of getting back up to this sort of price, unless we see some insane parabolic pumps, then you're going to be potentially looking at June time, right? Probably early June, mid-June before we get back up there, right? Unless obviously we have some buying power, right? And that's on the 4-hourly time frame, right? In terms of the RSI for the 4-hourly time frame, you can see there's a pretty big downtrend right here. As you can see, just imagine there's a nice trend line here, right? Nice trend line here. So we do need to break that. We need to break that, and that's basically an indication. If we're not going to break that, it's an indication that we're going to see the top of this wedge, right? We're going to see the top of this wedge, and then we're going to fall, right? We're going to fall because we are respecting this basically downwards. As you can see, it's pretty dominant, right? It's pretty dominant, right? You've got this here. The selling power is taking control, right? It's taking control. Yeah, the selling power. So I can't see us breaking that, really. If we are going to break that, then you could be looking at some pump out of this wedge. If you can look at some pump out of this wedge, we'd be looking at testing these moving averages earlier. If we test them earlier, sorry, let's do a measurement. Let's do a little cheeky measure move from this falling wedge here, and that would basically line up to the 55 and potentially the 200 moving average there, and that is around 11 cents, right? In terms of a trade for Digibyte, right? That's going to be a nice 10% trade, right? It's going to be a lovely 10% trade. I don't know if you can trade this leverage, but it's going to be a nice 10% trade for you guys to think about if we are going to break to the upside, right? And that would basically, we'd have to break through this trend line on the RSI to do that. So keep the eye on the RSI. Don't get in as soon as, I'm not obviously advising you to take the trade. It's just educational purposes, not financial advice and all that jazz. If we come up, right? If we come up, we break this wedge, right? Probably not that high, right? That was a bit stupid, right? We come up, we're like that, right? We clear this 21 moving average that we've got coming down here, this yellow one. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, we clear that. We're going to come back down, right? We're going to test this level of support that we've got going on at around 10 cents 6, right? And then that's where the entry is going to happen, right? That's where you want to be going long, right? Have your stop loss just in the wedge, so the loss isn't too great if it happens, right? But obviously that we need to break this RSI trend line for that to even happen, right? So take that into account if you're going to be trading this coin. But yeah, let me have a little look at the chat quickly. Oh God, Shib. To the moon. Coffee, breakfast, and trading with crypto is a new wave. Thanks for content, sir. Already seeing some lovely gains. Oh, cheers, bro. Amazing. I know who you are. Right, should we go to Shib, right? I don't like Shib. It's one of those FOMO coins, isn't it? But obviously, do what they like. Do what the fans want. Right, so 4-hour chart, right? It just goes down. It just goes down. Look, this is the 4-hour chart. It's unhealthy as anything. We're just going down. Obviously, these are just FOMO swings, right? This is... Oh, God, I hate doing these coins, right? It just keeps going down, right? It's just awful. It's just awful. Like obviously, you've got some sort of symmetrical triangle here. You've got a symmetrical triangle here to think about if you're going to be trading this. You're going to be looking at a break, right? Oh no, it's actually an ascending triangle we've got going on here, right? If we're going to be drawing like that, right? Yeah, so you're going to be looking at a break. If you're going to be trading this, if you're going to be, obviously, you're going to be buying in, right? You've probably already bought in with the whole FOMO market and stuff. But if you're looking at selling, don't sell right away, because if you break this level here, you could be looking at coming up here, and then we could be looking at some sort of measure move to the upside, right? In my opinion, just in terms of fundamentals, in terms of online and all that stuff, I don't think this coin is going anywhere. As you can see, what happened at the start, this obviously it's a very new coin, right? There's no use. There's absolutely no use for this coin, right? As far as I'm aware, it's like it's basically just a pump and dump sort of coin. It's the first coin that's got like a quadrillion supply or something stupid, right? So in my opinion, it's just going to trickle down from here, right? It's just going to keep trickling down, and people are just going to gradually selling, and I don't think there's going to be any upwards buying power, right? What I think this happened with SHIB, yeah, right? So basically, they created all that supply, a quadrillion supply, or whatever it was, and they donated 50% of the supply to the creator of Ethereum, and he went and he was like, oh God, right? His net worth was like, I think it's 3 billion, right? His net worth was 3 billion. Then they donated 50% of this supply to him, and then it was released on Binance, and it just skyrocketed. And his net worth went from 3 billion to 14 billion in the space of literally like a day or something crazy, right? In the space of no time at all. So he was like, oh, right, okay, this is a bit mad. I'm gonna sell it. He sold 50% of the supply, and then he gave 50. No, he sold 25% of the 50% that he was donated, and he gave the other 25% of the 50%. Right? He gave that amount to charity. He gave that to charity, and that obviously caused this selling power, because obviously the charities are going to be like, yeah, time to cash in, right? Let's actually get this to real money, because it's a joke. It's a joke, right? So in my opinion, I wouldn't be trading this. I wouldn't be touching this. It's just a FOMO coin. There's plenty of other coins out there. Plenty. If you're looking for those quick gains, go on to CoinMarketCap and do some research in coins that are like 500th on the search page, right? That's what I do in terms of looking for those quick gains, because coins are seriously underpriced. If you go to my video that I made yesterday lunchtime, it's a coin called Glitch, right? And they're basically bringing out a blockchain of themselves in Hong Kong, and I think that's got extremely good fundamentals to buy, and I can see literally a 3,000% gain on that coin, right? So if you're looking for coins like that, I do release a video every lunchtime around 1 or 2 p.m. right, English time, to get you guys them gains, right? I'm not saying buy the coins, but it's coins that I like to do research on, and I like to see some insane percents there, right? Because there's a lot of money to be made with crypto. A lot of money to be made with crypto, right? Let's see. SHIB. Okay, what about ENJ? ENJ. Yeah, I actually I made some good money with ENJ before. INJ, no? ENJ. Oh no, I'm thinking of Injective Protocol, right? ENJ coin. Yeah, I don't actually know this coin, but I'll do a little TA. Yeah, so it's going down. At this point in time, it is going down. But yeah, I see it hit a new all-time high before. Obviously found some sort of resistance from that point. But as you can see, this swing to the upside, that is just, it's not healthy, right? That's not healthy. Like, these corrections, they're not. Let's look at in percentages, right? Let's look at percentages. Like from the start of that sort of trend to the all-time high to 2,787%. Like, it's just ridiculous, right? In terms of corrections, we're looking at literally like 35%. In terms of comparing that to the 2,800, I think it was, that's not a proper correction, right? You need some sort of proper correction that you're having at this point. You're having at this point, and it is literally low. You're looking at nearly a 60%. I wouldn't be surprised if you came even down here, right? Came down and touched this 200 moving averages, 200 moving average. That obviously I don't know the fundamentals of this coin. I don't know what they're doing, if they've got anything good going for them. But in terms of just trading, right, just trading on the chart, you could potentially come down and see a $1.40. But it's not bad. I'm not saying this coin's bad. I'm not saying it's not going to go up again, because at this point in time, you're in a consolidation sideways period. That's healthy. You need that. You need that to keep going, right? You need that to get another leg up, right? If you look at coins like XRP and stuff, they just go flaccid for literally like a few months. And then out of nowhere, bang, they do another 50%. So what you need here is literally what's happening. This consolidation period is perfect for this coin. It's perfect. So I could potentially see you coming down, testing this 200, right? Testing this 200, finding support on it. I don't see you breaking it, because obviously look at this buying power to the upside. Buying power to the upside, this uptrend that you've been at the start of the bull market, right? Obviously, there's something going for this coin, right? So I can see you coming up off this 200, coming up, testing the new all-time high, the all-time high from before, right? Coming up, testing that, obviously getting over this volume-weighted ATR band as well, which could cause some consolidation, some sort of, not trickiness, but some sort of delay in the gains that you've been looking for, right? But yeah, let me switch to the medium time frame, the midterm. I'm just got some water. Obviously, guys, if you're liking the stream, if you're liking that stream, hit that like button, turn that thumbs up blue. It helps me out tremendously. And hit that subscribe button if you want to see me stream every day. Obviously, I've got videos coming out every lunchtime. And I basically pick some altcoins that I think we could see some potential really good gains on. And I like to do my own research and find some altcoins that are going to make some insane gains, and then in a sense showcase them to you guys. I don't have these companies messaging me. Obviously, I'm a seriously small YouTube account. I got like 18 subs or 10 subs or something like that, right? I'm a seriously small YouTube account, so I haven't I'm not at that stage where companies are going to approach me and try and pay me to basically do a sales pitch on their coin, right? I'm doing this purely because I want to showcase what I'm going to put in my portfolio. Like I did yesterday, I did a video on an altcoin called Glitch, as I said a minute ago, and I think they're going to do insane percents, right? And that's why I'm going to be doing those videos every lunchtime in a sense, right? They're going to be coming out at like 2 o'clock, right? So if you want to stay tuned for that, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. You're never going to miss one of my uploads. And you can take an insight into what I'm saying. Obviously, I'm not saying buy the coin, you need to buy this coin. I'm saying, look, there's potential gains to be made here. Make your own judgment and go from there, right? Back to Engine. Engine, right? A bit dyslexic, can't read that well. But yeah, I can trade. I can goddamn trade. Yeah, falling wedge here, right? We got a falling wedge, healthy falling wedge in my opinion. We got that all-time high, I believe. Yeah, the all-time high there. We do have a lot of touches all the way down, right? We've got a lot of touches all the way down to the bottom side and the top side here. So that is healthy, right? That's a nice, healthy falling wedge, right? Indicating we're looking at a price break. We're looking at a price break. In terms of like a measure move, right? In terms of a measure move, if we're going to pump to the upside, I'd probably draw a measure move something along the lines of this, right? Along the lines of this. Obviously, depending on where we're going to break along this trend line here. Depending on where we're going to break out this falling wedge, we could be looking at a gain, a big gain, right? Let's move this along because it's not going to come straight up, right? Although, looking at those candles, there is a lot of buying power to the upside, right? Now, let me just do a little percent gain there. Nice 42%. That's a 42% trade there to be looking out for. 42% trade to be looking out for. And what I've just seen there as well, look, we do have this. There's a zone here, right? There's a zone here. There's sort of a pattern going with these wicks that we've got going on here. So we're going to copy and paste that, and we're going to drag that basically down in line with both those wicks. And then we know if we break out and we don't clear this trend line that we've got going on here, this not closing candle trend line, but the all-time high wick candle thing. I don't know the words for it, but right. But yeah, if we can get out of this triangle, don't be getting into a long automatically. We're likely to come up, we're likely to come down and test this trend line again. And that's where we want to be longing, right? That's where we want to be longing, because we're going to get a better entry. Our stop loss is going to be closer. So if we hit it, it's not so bad. The dent isn't too bad in terms of a percent, right? And it's we're basically going to get a better entry and a better gain, right? So yeah, definitely something to think about in terms of a trade for this coin, right? And in terms of a trade for this coin, in terms of a hodl, like I just said before, I think we're at a point where it's a good indication of buying, right? And as you can see here, we do have this volume weighted ATR band coming down on the lower side, right? And we're testing that. Well, we tested it here, and we found support. Found support. That momentum came up from there, right? We haven't quite tested it yet here, right? The wicks aren't there. The wicks aren't there, right? When we get there, if we get there, we are going to see some momentum towards the upside. We're seeing a bit of it here, right? We're seeing a bit of the momentum towards the upside, but that could be the momentum on this trend line here, right? We got this this trend line, this dominant trend line for this falling wedge. You can see the momentum coming up. You see smashing these major moving averages like a knife through butter, like a knife through butter, right? But yeah, in terms of a measure move down, I don't think we're going to be coming down anytime soon because obviously we've got the support of this volume weighted ATR band. If we are going to see some sort of mass sell-off of this coin, right? I can't see us breaking this volume weighted ATR band, to be honest with you. I can't see it happening. But if it is going to happen, say Bitcoin absolutely fell off the moon. Bitcoin fell off the moon if it's already on the moon. We could be looking at coming down to $1.16, right? I don't see that happening because obviously we've got the support of this volume weighted ATR band. And if we do break that, then we trend below it. We don't literally just dump like a mother. Yeah, okay, we just don't dump, right? We literally trend along it and see some sort of downward, and then this volume weighted downward will trend down like that, and that would be a long time before we even consider even touching this sort of measure move. So it's going to be long-winded if we do break to the downside. So do take that into account. But as I said, we're consolidating. This is healthy. This is perfect. We're looking for that trade up, right? And that's probably going to fall dead in line with this volume weighted ATR band, funnily enough, right? So that's another fundamental that we are going to go up. But yeah, in terms of what's happening on the RSI right now, you can see right here, we've got dominance trend lines, right? Dominant trend lines coming down, right? Dominant trend line coming down from that top trend there, right? Top when we were overbought, right? We're not overbought, we're not oversold at this point. We're currently testing. We're in a tester period. We're testing the top of this trend line. As you can see, we have seen a lot of touches. We've seen a lot of touches, a lot of confirmation that this trend line is heavily respected, right? A lot of touches that this trend line is heavily respected. If we're to break this trend line now, right? If we're to break this trend line now, I can see us forming a significant amount of buying power. A significant amount of buying power, potentially enough to get to the top side of this wedge and start a consolidation period up here, right? Something looking along the lines of this, right? If we can start that, that's good for you. That is good for you because you're looking at this long. If you're hodling, you're looking at going up from there, right? So that's definitely something to think about. Definitely something to watch on the RSI on the 4 hour if we are to break this trend line, right? If we're not, then we're probably just going to come down and test this volume weighted ATR band and test this trend line and test these levels of support, okay? That's what I think is going to happen with that in terms of the RSI. Let's bring up the MACD for a second, right? Let's bring up the MACD for a second. As you can see, geez, it's not really that great here. It's not really that great. You've obviously got these dominant higher highs on the upswings here, right? And that's obviously these chart patterns you've got here, right? This uptrend here, right? That's obviously this what's going on here, and this one here, you've got this going on here. In terms of trend, in terms of trend line on the MACD here, you can see it's still being respected. We're still waiting for that break. We might be there. We might be there. Maybe. Nearly. nearly there, right? If we can get a break, we're going to be setting a new trend. We're going to be setting a higher high. Not a higher high than this high, but a higher high in terms of a new trend on the MACD for Engine Coin. If I'm saying that right? So yeah, that's what I think could happen. And sorry, if that does happen, we could be looking at a new trend, right? A new trend, which basically confirms the consolidation period on the top side of this wedge. In terms of an uptrend, right? In terms of a downtrend, for the MACD, what we've got going on here, we actually have just had the bullish crossover, so we are waiting on that to see how high that could push, how high this price could go, and if we are going to set a new trend, and whether it's even going to be worthwhile in taking into account into breaking this wedge in the future, right? Yeah. So looking at this downtrend sort of cycle that we've got going on. Downtrend sort of cycle and trend we've got going on for Engine Coin right now. We're respecting it. I can't see a new trend forming anytime really soon. And that's basically another inkling. If we break to the top side, wrong tool. If we break to the top side here, set a new uptrend, set a new high for this uptrend here, and come to the top of this falling wedge, we are going to have a consolidation period, right? You've got this level of support here. Well, it's going to be support when we break it. And that's at that's a 2.11, so $2.11, right? And then we could potentially see, I don't see a huge dump coming from there unless we're to clear this trend line. But as you can see, we don't have a lot of downwards momentum in terms of trend on the MACD right now, because we didn't quite get there on the last little bearish crossover there. So it's likely to see, as I said, a consolidation period in terms of trend on the MACD, which backs up the point of this consolidating on the chart here, right? So that is something to think about. Did ramble on a little bit there. But yeah, it's something to think about in terms of Engine Coin and a potential trade, right? That's a potential trade there, right? When we get to that certain point. Just gonna bear with me, have some water. Oh, they're working on SHIB swap. Oh my god. Oh, it was 5% donated. Okay, my mistake. Probably read it on Twitter wrong or something. You know, it can all get twisted in crypto. 45 was burned. Interesting. That's really interesting. Right, that is interesting. I still don't believe in SHIB, to be honest with you. I still don't believe in SHIB, even if they create so let's go on the basis that they've created like a pancake swap, right? And you can swap your coins and do all that stuff like an exchange, right? So if they were to create that, because of the promotion they've already had, right, in terms of social media, in terms of TikTok and all that stuff going on there, because of the promotion they've already had, I can see when that gets released, a pump. I can see a pump, and that could be the completion of that triangle. Let me just jump back to the chart, right? I could potentially see a potential move from this triangle when that happens. Obviously, I don't know dates on when that's going to happen. ENJ is blockchain gaming development platform. ENJ price rocketed after their partnership with Samsung and is being featured on the S10. Wow, that's sick. That's really interesting, man. That's definitely, I'm going to save that coin. Let me write that one down. That's good. Yeah, nice. Might have to do a little lunchtime video on that one. ENJ, yeah, very nice. Write that one down. But yeah, so in terms of SHIB and in terms of them creating an exchange, that will potentially pump the price up, right? Pump the price up because it's going to be the retail people are going to be seeing that, and then they're probably going to have some really basic diagram of how to use it, right? And that's going to basically increase. It will increase the price. But in my opinion, the supply's so big, man. The supply's so big. Like, people are like, oh, it's going to go to $1. It'll never get anywhere near anything like that, bro. It won't. The supply's too big. But if you believe in it, like, just hold your own, man. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But for me, Shib's not the one. Yeah. It's not the one. But yeah, if you're looking at break for this triangle, you could be looking at something like this. Like so. And in my opinion, like, I hate Doge as well. Like, I really hate Doge as well. But I think Doge has got more potential than Shib, right? Yeah, so in terms of a measure move that you'd be looking at, I don't know when they're going to release this exchange stuff, but it takes a while to build an exchange, right? But you'd be looking at a 16% gain there, right? But yeah, it's Shib. So it's unreliable as anything. But yeah, it's interesting that 45% of the supply got burnt. Very, very interesting indeed. But yeah, let's go back to BTC on the short term, right? BTC on the short term, as requested, we do have this channel, right? We do have this channel as discussed. We do have this channel that we are respecting. We did come up and test the 55 moving average here, and we are trying to find support on the 21, which is this yellow moving average here. If we can find support on that 21, then we're basically going to consolidate around this price action channel and around the 10 simple here, and potentially come up, test the 55 again, right? In my opinion, we're going to lose this 21 pretty imminently. I can see us coming down today. I can see us coming down, testing the lower side of this channel, right? Testing the lower side of this channel, and basically getting rejected off the RSI here, right? If we're going to break the RSI, then we're going to be looking at coming up and breaking this channel. If we're going to break this channel and we're going to see some insane buying power for Bitcoin, oh, that's the wrong thing, insane buying power for Bitcoin, we're going to be looking at something along the lines of this in terms of a measure move, right? In terms of a measure move, yeah, in terms of a measure move to the upside, we're going to be looking at something like this, right? And that'll line up perfectly with the 200 moving average as well, right? In terms of percent for that trade, something to look out for. It's nearly 7%, 6.69, 6.69 percent trade there, right? So that's something to look out for if we are going to break to the upside. But in order for that to happen, we are going to need to break that dominant trend on the RSI, right? That dominant trend on the RSI that we've got going on there, we are going to need to break that. So that's definitely something to think about. Definitely something to watch when you're going to enter your trade. If we break it, don't just enter your trade straight away, right? Look at the RSI. Look at the factors, right? Look at the factors, right? And as you can see here, the reason why I think we're coming down, is primarily this, right? We're nearly there. We're nearly there for a bearish crossover. The uptrend that we've got going on here, it's fizzling out. We're seeing lower lows in terms of basically like volume on the MACD here, right? So I can see a switch in the trend. It's not going to be huge dumps. It's not going to be nothing like we've had, right? It's just going to be a small correction, not correction, but basically a test of this moving average that we've got here, right? And that's what I think is going to happen for the short term for Bitcoin, right? Now let's jump across to the midterm, just do a summary. Maybe I should do a summary like every 20 minutes of Bitcoin or something like that. Obviously, it's my 4th stream, so I'm pretty new to the game in terms of YouTubing and all that stuff. So obviously, I'm trying to improve like all the time. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. And also smash that like button, turn it blue if you're enjoying the content. And if you want to stream every single day, because I'm going to aim to stream every day, potentially. I want to stream it all like weekends and stuff, like I love streaming, right? So far anyway, I've done 4 streams and I do really like it. So I do want to be streaming a lot more, and I do want to stream every day because I know obviously crypto's 24-hour and people trade all the time all around the world, right? So I want to be streaming all the time, but obviously there's some commitments and stuff. So if I do have to have a day off or so, I will have some videos, but it's basically backed up. I'll have some videos backed up, so I have some content to upload to you guys, right? And if you're looking for some altcoins to get involved with, I do produce an altcoin video like every lunchtime, and that's like in the routine sort of thing. I produce an altcoin like every lunchtime, and I basically do my own research on it and find one that I think is going to basically like well, yesterday's one basically was like, it was a 3,000% gain if we can get there, right? So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for getting you guys those gains and getting myself them gains as well, because who doesn't like 3,000%, right? Midterm for Bitcoin, right? We do have that giant falling wedge, right? There's a giant falling wedge that we've been discussing. And the measure move for that, I did just delete it, was this, right? The measure move for that, if we're going to break to the downside, it's going to look something like this, right? Obviously, depending on where we're going to break. Obviously, we have broken, but it's not completely confirmed, as I'll explain on this barrier that we've got here on the long term. So right now, if we are going to break and we are going to see a completion of the measure move, we're going to see a $33,000 Bitcoin, which we don't want, right? We don't want Bitcoin to dump there, because then we're going to enter the bear market, and then everything else is going to absolutely plummet down. And we don't want that, right? Oh, it's going down at the moment, right? Yeah, so we do have this falling wedge here as well, right? Indication-wise, I can see us coming down, potentially testing this bottom side of this falling wedge, creating a lower low, shaking the market some more, shaking out those weak hands, right? A lot of people are selling at the moment. A lot of people are scared, right? They should be scared because it's dumping, right? And this is what people are trying to create. Personally, what I think is going to happen, I think we're looking at them shaking out the market like they've been doing, right? Shaking it out, dumping all those altcoins, getting everyone to pull out, because the amount of retail investors that have just jumped in, like members of the public, they've just jumped into Bitcoin. Just, quick money. I can make thousands here. Let's go. I'm buying in. They want to dump it. They want to dump it, scare people, because a lot of people don't know about crypto and they've invested. I'm not talking like life savings, right? They've invested a lot of money, serious money. And the big whales at the top, they're like, right, all the money's in the market. Let's plummet the price. Let's dump that price right down, get everyone to sell because they're at such a loss. They're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I've such a loss, right? So they're just going to sell. And then I can see us basically recovering pretty sharply, right? We saw those pumps. We saw these pumps, right? I can see that happening again easily. I don't think the bull market's done. I just think we're in a shakeout period because crypto has been heavily adopted by members of the public and social media and that sort of thing. So there is quite a few uneducated people in this space at this point in time. So they're trying to shake those people out, in my opinion, right? In terms of this falling wedge on Bitcoin that we've got here, we're potentially looking to come down and test the lower side, create a lower low for Bitcoin, and basically continue this sort of trend, right? I don't see us getting all the way down to that measure move of the big wedge that we've got going on there, but I can see us basically seeing a reversal in the price and seeing a measure move get created, potentially somewhere down the line, and coming up and testing the bottom side of this trend line of this falling wedge on the midterm for Bitcoin, right? That's what I can kind of see what's going to happen, and basically what I predict what's happened. Obviously, we do have these moving averages. They're pretty high up. We're a long way from them. But in terms of a measure move, if you were looking to long a position, if we were going to get out of this falling wedge that we've got here, could be looking at a nice 7% gain there for the retest of this trend line, which we're currently sort of testing at the moment, right? Definitely something to think about in terms of a trade for Bitcoin, in terms of a 4-hourly trade. In terms of the RSI, same sort of scenario as the short term, right? In order to get to this point of resistance on this trend, we're going to need some buying power. We're going to need a lot of buying power, and that could indicate a break of this wedge, right? If we're going to break this wedge earlier than I predicted, then we're going to see a measure move up, potentially to test this 55. Obviously, we've got this horizontal resistance point to get through as well, and that's sat at around 48. Yeah, 48. Yeah, just under 48, right? That's sat just under 48, and that could indicate that we're coming up to test this trend line on the RSI. So that's something to think about as well if we are going to break this earlier than predicted. In terms of the MACD, right? In terms of the MACD, we're looking at like these uptrends, they ended, right? The uptrends, they ended, and obviously it's the 4-hour if you want to copy this. The uptrends, they ended pretty significantly. They just fizzled out, and now we're in a pretty flaccid uptrend period as we are trending down pretty dominantly, as you guys know, potentially, right? So right now, we've had a bullish crossover. We've had a bullish crossover on the MACD, and that could indicate that we are going to come up, actually. It does indicate that we are going to come up and break this to the upside, right? But in my opinion, at this point in time, I personally think we're still going to come down and test this level of support that we've got down at 42. I think it's going to take a while, but we could potentially ride this trend line down just to scare a few more people, right? Scare a few more people out of the markets. That's what I think is going to happen. But before we see that bullish crossover, and we've had the bullish crossover, before we see the new trend with a bullish crossover, seeing a higher high, creating a new pattern for the MACD to follow, right? Before we see that, we need to be looking for this break. We need to be looking for a break to the upside of this falling wedge, right? And that's obviously the uptrend here. Likewise with the downtrend, right? We have I think we've completed this basically, this downtrend cycle that we've got going on here. So we're looking, when we have a bearish crossover, we're looking at creating a new cycle, right? We're creating a new cycle of trend. We don't know how big it's going to be, how low it's going to be, if it's going to be a significant dump, if it's going to be a significant trend, right? We just don't know, right? So that's definitely something to think about when trading Bitcoin on the midterm, right? Let me jump to the long term. And this is why I'll explain to you guys now why I think we're going to see some sort of trend reversal and a potential long position, right? Just gonna have some water. I don't hold any thinking to fill my cheap bag. Chainlink, good for a long-term investment. NX, I like 3,000% to the moon. I love 3,000% to the moon, baby. But yeah, so long-term for Bitcoin, we've got going on here. This is an indicator I use. That's the wrong tool. The indicator that I use is, that's the wrong tool again. What is happening here, right? Yeah, so this is the bull market barrier. As you can see here, this blue channel that we've got going on here. Let's talk about this yellow bit in a minute, right? This bull market barrier, this blue channel that we've got going on here, this basically indicates we're in a bull market, right? And that's why it's called the bull market barrier. We're in a bull market here, and when we turn yellow, it indicates we're going sideways, right? We're gonna start to basically go sideways for a bit and test the opportunity of falling into a bear market, right? Let me jump back to 2018, where we lost the bull market, right? We lost the bull market and we switched to a bear market. And that's when we saw Bitcoin go from 18,000, right? 19,000 all-time high, right? All the way down. It trickled all the way down like water on a window. It trickled all the way down to $3,000, right? $3,000, 3K, right? That's so cheap, so cheap, right? So cheap for Bitcoin. But yeah, so as you can see here, back to the indicator, we had that switch over. We had that test moment where we're all consolidating around it, right? That point there is kind of what we're in now. As you can see here, its history is sort of repeating itself in terms of what's going on in terms of price action, right? We've come down, nice little wave up. We've come down again. We've entered the bull market barrier. We've found support. We've found support on the bottom side, right? Let me just switch back. So we found support on the bottom side, right? Let's look live. Let's look live. This is what's happening right now. We've come down. We've come down, had a little wave up, come further down, and now we're finding support on the bottom side, right? We're finding support on the bottom side of the bull market barrier. So, indication-wise, we are going to see some sort of pump to the upside, right? We're going to see some sort of pump to the upside because we are going to find some support here, right? So that's something to think about. Because if we don't find support, if we don't find support and we lose it, this is all going to turn red. We're going to enter a bear market, and then everyone's just going to absolutely sell everything, and it's all going to go downhill, right? Crypto is over for now. But yeah, so that's if we do enter a bear market, that's basically the indicator that's going to tell us that that we are going to be doing that. I'll be streaming this. I want to say every day, but obviously weekends stuff does get busy, but I will have videos backed up. But I will be streaming this every single weekday at least, right? Every single weekday at least, and you'll probably get a weekend stream from me as well, right? At some point over the weekend. But I'll be streaming this, so if you want to keep an eye, obviously you don't have this indicator, but if you want to keep an eye, just tune into my stream, hit that subscribe button, and you'll be notified when we're going into a bear market, and that's when you know what's going on, right? That's the good stuff. Obviously, guys, if you're liking the stream, hit that thumbs up button. Helps me out tremendously. Turn that guy blue. Obviously, if you're liking the stream, that'd be brilliant, right? But yeah, so this is the bull market barrier, as I just explained, right? So we could be entering a bear market. Hopefully, we're not. Hopefully, we can see a nice swing up and a reclamation. I know it's not a word, but I've been using it recently. A reclamation of this channel, right? A reclamation of this channel, right? So in terms of a long position that I was talking about a minute ago, let's bring up the rounded blue box zones. This is an indicator, another indicator that I use. Obviously, looks pretty daunting on the chart, right? Looks pretty daunting on the chart. Let's get rid of the bull market barrier. Let's actually go to these dominant trend lines for now, right? And that measure move there. But yeah, so as you can see, this is the bull market barrier, right? This is the bull market barrier. It's made up of a linear regressional growth curve from the start of Bitcoin to the live price now, right? If I can zoom out a bit, maybe I should get rid of one of the zones because it does lag it out, because obviously it's a lot of information on the chart. Do have insane fiber internet, but it just lags it out still. But yeah, so you can see this progressionary growth curve, right? This progressionary growth curve, this linear regressional growth curve. Let me get the top side so you can see. You can basically see, he pointed to the screen. You can see the top side of it here, right? This is going to be the top side of this curve of this indicator. So we can plot out the top of Bitcoin here, right? That's the top, and that's the top of the bull market that we had before, right? So let me get rid of that because it's going to lag it all out. Yeah, so if we go back to the live price, and this bottom side of the indicator, we've never lost it, apart from obviously the March crash with all the old pandemic and all that, right? That crash that we had there, that was dead. We lost this indicator for the first time, and then you can basically just see a repetitive period of the lockdowns that we had, right? Just boom, lockdown, prices dump, right? Everyone pulls out because everyone's scared that the recession and all that, all the financial stuff's upon us, right? But yeah, so back to the indicator, right? Waffling on, right? Have another drink of water. Back to the indicator in terms of signals right here, right? So as you can see in this bull market that we're in here, every time we clear one of these blue lines here, every time we clear one of these blue sections, we see a pump, right? We see a pump. Let me do some percentages here. Right, we've cleared it here. We pump, bang, 17%. We come back down. We get in another long. We see a pump, 15%. Come back down. We test it again, and we pump again, 15%, right? We clear it this time. So much information. Yeah, we clear it this time, and then we have another pump, 25%. It's just gains every time we leave these like blue block zones, right? Every time we leave these blue block zones, we are making money, right? We are making money. It's just so much money, right? It's just so much money. So let me explain. Every time we touch one of the yellow lines, that's when we take a bit of profit. So in case we do something like, let me find one. It's quite hard to find a unreliable one. Yeah, here we go, right? So we come out of the blue box zone here. We pump up. We hit the high of the trade at 16%, right? Just about 16%. So we wouldn't have hit the top side. We wouldn't have hit the top side before retracing all the way back and hitting a stop loss, right? We wouldn't have hit the top side. So what we do here, we take profit here, we take profit here, we take profit here. We take out a percentage of our position. So on these waves up, we're making money. Every single time we touch one, we're making money, right? We take profit like the second one or the third one. No, sorry, yeah, the second one, right? Take profit the second one. That's basically a break-even trade. That's straight away done. In terms of percentages, that is just filthy, absolutely filthy, right? So that brings me to the live. I've explained that for you guys now. It brings me to the live price. Right now. And let me just bring up the top side of this indicator. You can see we're in one of these zones. We're in one of these rounded blue box zones, and we're currently trying to find support on the top side, right? We're currently trying to find support on the top side. This is on the 12-hour chart, right? We have got 1 hour and 42 minutes until the 12-hour closes. If that 12-hour closes, I'll be cutting back to the 4-hour. If that's doing well as well, and we can see some good growth from there, I will be entering along, and I'll be riding that wave. And we're seeing these prices get confirmed, right? We'll be seeing these take profits get hit all the way up. That's what I'm hoping. If we can close, if we can't close, then we're probably going to see some sort of sideways period, as I said before. But in my opinion, I don't think we are going to close there because obviously we've got that wedge coming down on the short term. No, that's the midterm, right? We've got the wedge coming down on the midterm. So that's definitely something to think about. And it could potentially be a measure move down from this price channel that we've got here on the short term, right? Which could bring us down a heck of a lot lower than that. So yeah, definitely something to think about. Some really great positions. But yeah, if you want to basically look at these indicators every day or every weekday, subscribe to my channel, jump on the stream. I'll be doing this every morning. You can see my insight into Bitcoin, my insight into a few altcoins, and yeah, it's gonna be a good journey, right? I'm still early in the game, but it's gonna be a great journey. It's gonna be a great journey. Yeah, is any requests in the chat? No requests in the chat, but let me just jump on some other coin here, right? Let me find one. What's doing well? Solana, baby. Yeah, we'll do a bit of Solana, right? I do like Solana. I'm pretty bullish on Solana. I've got some pretty high hopes, right? At this point in time, you can see this channel. You can see this channel that we've got here. It's quite a nice looking channel. It's pretty healthy. We've got a lot of touches, right? We've got a lot of touches to the upside. Just here, we're testing at the moment, right? We got some touches to the downside, right? This is lovely, right? And as you can see here, look at this big W, right? That's a big, healthy W, right? That's nice. That's indication for an upward swing, right? And obviously, that is obviously happening right now. Right now with Solana, we could be looking at a break, right? We could be looking at a break to the upside. In terms of a measure move, that's the most dominant trend, but I'd probably go on something a little bit smaller. Don't want to be greedy. Yeah, probably something like that, right? But we're looking at some sort of measure move to the upside. Around seeing a $64 Solana. That would be lovely to see, right? I do hold this in my portfolio. It's definitely something that I'm bullish on, and I wouldn't advise. Obviously, it's not financial advice, it's just educational guidance, if that's the right terminology for it. I'm not saying put this in your portfolio. I'm just saying, look, this could make some serious gains in the future. Right now, this measure move to the upside could be a 19% gain, right? Obviously, we do have this volume weighted ATR band to think about, and that right there is primarily respected, right? If we get to that top side, right? It's primarily respected, or we trend along it, right? Or we trend along it as so. So, definitely something to think about in terms of this position. If we're to break, it's likely that we come up, we test it, and then we trend along it, right? We're going to trend along it, continuing up until we hit this measure move, and then we'll probably see some sort of rejection from there, right? But in terms of percentages, as I just said, yeah, 19%, very nice trade indeed. So that's definitely something to think about for Solana in terms of the hourly time frame, right? In terms of the hourly time frame, but on the RSI, we're nearly oversold, right? We're nearly oversold. The last point we were oversold, we were looking at something like this, right? We could be looking at a trend line, right? Depending on where this price goes, where the price goes, the live price, where it goes. If we go up, get over the volume weighted ATR band, we're going to see an indication that the RSI is going to be going up because the buying power is there, right? So, right now with the RSI, we could be looking at sort of a test coming out. If we get overextended on the RSI, that trend's still going to be valid. As long as we don't quite go horizontal, we could take over it completely, but we'd need some insane buying power for that. But as long as we don't go horizontal on the RSI, I can see us respecting it, right? I can see us respecting it, so that's definitely a factor to take in if you're going to be entering this long. I wouldn't be going in straight away. I'd be going in on the retest, right? Because then you're going to get a better entry, and then in case it is a fake out, right? In case it's a fake out and then comes back down and reclaims this channel that we've got going on here, then you're not going to be screwed. You're not going to be in a trade. You're not going to be losing, right? There's going to be no loss there. So that's where you get on the retest, get the confirmation, add up everything, all the signs, all the signals and stuff you've got, add them all together, and decide whether it's going to be a good position for you to take, right? In terms of what's happening on the MACD on the hourly for Solana right now, as you can see, we've got this trend here, right? We have just broke that trend, right? We've just broke that trend. We are setting a new trend. We're setting a new trend, right? We're setting a new trend on the MACD here, which is really interesting because obviously these are really far apart. So that's indication that we could be going a heck of a lot higher than that. We could be going really high, right? We could be going quite high here, or we could see some sort of reversal. I don't think we're going to see a reversal just yet. I can see us basically coming up, coming over this volume weighted ATR band that we've got, and then coming down and testing this dominant trend line of this channel that we've got here. And then we could be looking at a long position, right? But before that to happen, we have got a little bit of a downtrend on the MACD here that we need to fulfill. And the way that's going to happen, right, is as I said a second ago, we're going to come up around this point, and then we're going to see a bearish crossover on the MACD. But it's not going to be very big. It's not going to be a very big trend because we've obviously got this level of support here. We've got this level of support on this channel here, right? And that, yeah, I think it is the all-time high for Solana, right? We have this level of support. So it's basically going to be the completion of this trend, in my opinion. That's an indication it's going to be the completion of this trend. We're going to find support on this level, and then we're going to go up from there, right? So that is definitely something to think about. Definitely something to think about for this long position that I've been covering on Solana, right? Right now. Any other requests in the chat? No requests in the chat. Let me find another coin. XLM. XLM, right? Obviously, we have... God, that's a big wedge. Damn. Damn, I like that wedge. Stella. Yeah, so we've got a massive wedge here, right? Absolutely huge wedge. Not the healthiest in the world. Ideally, I'd like to come up and test this top side. I'd ideally like to come up and test this top side of this wedge for it to be a lot more healthy. But you get what you're given with trading, right? You get what you're given. Obviously, we're finding pretty good support on this lower trend line, right? Pretty good support on this lower trend line indicating price movements to the upside, right? That's what we're indicating. That's what's happening right now. We're testing it. We're testing this level of support on the bottom side at around 67 cents, right? We're testing this 21 moving average at this point, right? Testing this 21 moving average at this point. If we can get support on that, I can see us basically coming up from there. Just on a vague description of what I can see right now. If we're looking at a measure move, if we're going to break to the upside, obviously I don't think we are straight away because we've got this volume weighted ATR band to think about, and that is new all-time highs for Stellar, right? So if we are going to break to the upside, in terms of a measure move, that is the wrong size measure move. In terms of a measure move, that's probably one I did. Here's one I made earlier. No, here's one. It was from the previous TA, right? And obviously, when that price is back there, when we're like this on the charts, the latest trend is going to be a lot bigger than the ones that get coiled up when the wedge starts to close, right? Closing wedge, when the wedge starts to close. So these measure moves get smaller as the wedge closes, but more reliable, in my opinion, right? You shouldn't be looking at the big one, shouldn't be going greedy. It's crypto. You're going to get trapped. Simple as that, right? In terms of percent for this measure move, it's a 20% gain for Stellar. And the way that Stellar's been going up recently, look, that's healthy, right? That's healthy. We've got the corrections in there. We've had a nice correction, right? Due to Bitcoin, right? Good corrections. This is lovely. Lovely. Good corrections here, right? We're looking at that pump to the upside from there. In terms of percents-wise, as I said, around a 20% trade. To think about. Here's what you think about. Yeah, to think about, right? At this point in time, if we lose it, if we lose this trend line, if we lose this wedge, in terms of a measure move to the downside, we could be looking at something along the lines of this. Obviously, depending on where we're going to break along this trend line. Obviously, we do also have this 200 moving average to think about as well. But in terms of percentage for a short position, it's 16% there. 16%. Very nice trade indeed. Obviously, we do have these giant wicks to think about, right? Giant wicks, and this is a zone which I like to call the trap zone, right? I like to call the trap zone because it's pretty goddamn trappy, as you can see here. Like usually, people are like, oh yeah, falling wedge. Right, we broke it. Time to short. You dump down, you're in profit, and then you get the momentum towards the upside, and bang, stop loss hit, right? So that's what you need to think about in terms of entering this position, because you could get a trap, right? If you get trapped, we need to be out of this zone before the position's over. Or at least we need to be consolidating in this zone enough to know it's not a trap, right? To know it's not a trap, and then that we know that we're going to get a move down from there. But yeah, definitely something to think about in terms of a trade for Stellar, right? Let me have a look at the RSI for Stellar. Oh, pretty central right now. Pretty central for the RSI for Stellar. You can see these higher highs on the RSI, from time ago, right? As you can see here, we have respected them, and if we are going to come up and respect them, I can't see us breaking them anytime soon, because that is when we do get fully overextended. In terms of if we're going to get there, I can see us getting there by coming up and testing this horizontal level, this horizontal level of resistance that we've got going here. But as you can see from previous tests, we do have a lot of downwards energy from that horizontal level of resistance there. If we are going to break that, we do have a lot more downwards energy from that horizontal level of resistance there. So we are looking to find support on there as well, if we can. And we do have this trend line to get over as well, if we are going to break to the upside. So there's a lot of factors stopping us from getting to this test point here. And that's probably why it goes as far back as April the 6th, right? Because it's just been going like, it's just not finding enough momentum, right? It does have it here, right? It's got it here, but it's not got enough to quite get there. At this point in time. And that's basically the RSI on the 4 hour for Stellar. In terms of what's happening on the MACD, it's pretty much the same scenario in terms of sideways movement. In terms of like horizontal movement, right? In terms of a horizontal trend, it's not very steep, it's not very confirmed, it's not very predictable in my opinion. So at this point in time, we could see an uptrend looking like this still. We could see it continuously just fiddle down for quite a while, for literally until we hit June, right? That's potential, it could happen. So that's an indication we could see this rising wedge basically continuing, right? We could basically see that continuing. But in terms of a downtrend momentum that we've got going on here, we do have this big higher high coming in here, right? This big higher high coming in here. I think that's a bit too steep to basically call that like a trend cycle, but I would be looking at something, oh, that's the wrong tool. I would be looking at something along the lines of like, see, that just looks awful, right? Yeah, same with that. Yeah, I'd probably ignore that higher high. It just doesn't look very good in my opinion. I'd probably say this is the new trend that we've got set here. But as you can see, right, as you can see, we did have a lower low here. We did have a lower high here, and then we hit another lower low. And right now we are in a little bit of a bear trend, right? A little bit of a bear trend. We do have, I don't know if you can see it, but on this line it's basically curling up, right? It's basically curling up, looking for that bullish crossover because of this this price action that's going on here, right? So I can indicate that hopefully we get a bullish crossover here. Oh, a bit closer. Bullish crossover here, right? If we can get a bullish crossover there, then this trend is basically going to start signifying that we're going to be doing something along the lines of this, right? And then the reversal that we get, probably the resistance from this 0.74 point, it's not going to be very strong, right? It's not going to be very strong, and that's probably going to indicate some consolidation, some testing, some sideways period there, right? That's definitely something to think about. Definitely something to think about, right? I did just see the chat move in my peripheral. Check out the Wyckoff distribution pattern Wales used to tank the price. It would be great if you could check it out and make a video about it. Yeah, definitely, man. I'll definitely check that out. Yeah, let me write that down quickly. Yeah, I do like researching. Like, as well as this being my job, like I do find it really interesting as well. So, which is the main point of it, right? I just wouldn't be doing it if I didn't enjoy it. So, yeah, thank you for that, bro. Yeah. Always up for learning. Let's go. Oh, need some more water, I think. Cool, how long is that stream then? 2.5 hours. Wow, that's a bit crazy, right? But yeah, smash that like button, guys. 2.5 hours in, catching up a bit on me now. If you've got any coins you want me to do, I'm probably going to jump onto. Probably have a little look at Matic actually, because yeah, we're looking for a position on Matic at the moment, I think, right? Yeah, we're looking for a long position. So at this point in time, we haven't quite got as low as this trend line is. Obviously, this is on the hourly chart, so we are looking for that retest of this trend line for Matic, and that will basically indicate a nice pump to the upside, 35%. If we can get there, we haven't got anything stopping us majorly. And as you can see, the volume weighted ATR band is pretty low, so that could indicate we might even retrace to it. So it's definitely something to think about, and this is why that we wait for that retest, right? We wait for that retest, see the momentum on the trends of the MACD and the RSI and stuff, and see if we can get in that long position, see whether it's worth it in terms of the fundamentals. But the fundamentals, right? Fundamentals of the chart, right? I need to clarify that. Fundamentals of the chart, right? Let me have a look at the chat. NX wants ETH, right? NX wants ETH. Let me have a look at ETH for you, bro. If you're a male, shouldn't assume, right? Yeah, as you can see, ETH on the 4 hour right now. On the 4 hour, as you can see, we did lose this descending triangle that we've got drawn in here. We did lose it. We could be seeing some sort of trend pattern reversal here. Pattern reversal, that doesn't make sense. That's what I mean, new streamer and all that stuff. Can't get my words out. But yeah, some sort of potential falling wedge here. Or potential channel, right? If not quite symmetrical, but yeah, we're getting there. So it's definitely something to think about. As you can see, we are finding support on this line in terms of wicking down to it. We're not closing candles below it, but wicking down to it, we are finding support. Right now, we are finding support as well on the 200 moving average, and we do have a level of support at 3,237. Did actually watch us tap that price yesterday, right? at this point in time, in the last few hours or so, we have been swinging to the upside, breaking through these moving averages. That is the 21 moving average that we've got there. We broke through that. We found support. We pumped. Now we're testing that 55 moving average, right? We're testing that 55 moving average. And if we can claim that, if we can get over that, get over the resistance on that, then we could be looking at some sort of upwards momentum, right? Right here, as you can see, we got over. We see that swing to the upside, right? We see that swing to the upside. We come back down. We test near it. We go again. And then we get called up by this insane trend line here, right? So, but yeah, in terms of the 55, we do tend to swing up off it when we test it, right? We do tend to swing up off it. So if we can claim it, in the next few hours or so, we might even get there in 26 minutes, right? But as you can see, we do have some wicks. We did claim it here, but then we just dumped as soon as the candle opened, right? So it's definitely something to think about when trading ETH at this point in time. I can see us basically coming up and testing this 200, but I haven't looked at the RSI or the MACD yet, so I need to take them into account as well. But in terms of horizontal resistance levels that we need to get through, the next target that we're aiming for is 3,581, and what we're currently trying to find support on at this point in time in this candle, which we're consolidating around, is 3,482, right? But we are bouncing off this 21 moving average pretty nicely. You see those wicks, and then you see the buying power up straight from there. So that's definitely something to think about. Again, I need some new words, right? Definitely something to take into account when trading ETH, right? Yeah, so now, if we are going to lose this level of support, and we lose this 21 MA here, then we could be looking at coming down and testing this volume weighted ATR band that we have here. And as you can see, we primarily respect it, right? We trade along it, and if we have a nice rejection from it, we get the momentum to the upside, we see something like this, and then we reclaim this moving average here, and then we're sat on that for a bit, right? So it's all just sort of a staircase sort of pattern that we've got going on here. But yeah, right now, we are in this falling channel on the hourly time frame. If you want to copy this on your chart, falling channel and falling wedge kind of look the same. Maybe, nah, it wouldn't work. But yeah, so falling wedge, I guess, right? But yeah, if we look at the RSI, right now, obviously you can see this pretty dominant trend. Let me jump to that. Yeah, it's a lot more friendly. We do have a long way to go before we hit the top of that, the trend on the RSI, right? We do have a long way to go. So that indicates we could be seeing a test to the top side of this trend line, and that is a test of 3,700, around 3,700, right? So in order to do that on the 4 hour, we would need to test this 55, right? And obviously, the higher time frames you go, the more dominant the moving average are, the stronger the moving averages are, right? So we are going to have to get through that 55 moving average there. And if we do, we might get some sort of pump off it, but we'll basically have to see. But I can't see us getting any higherly extended. I can't see us extending any higher. There we go. I can't see us extending any higher than around the 59, 50. I can't see us getting any higher than 60 on the RSI, right? Unless we come over for a little tiny trap, right? But I can't see us extending any higher on the RSI. Bit of a tongue twister that. Can't see us extending any higher on the RSI because of obviously this dominant trend that we've got going on here in terms of this trend line, right? And in terms of the MACD that we've got going on, we are literally just about to have a bullish crossover. So that indicates that we're going to come up and test this 55 and test this 21 that we've got going on here, right? So if we get that bullish crossover, right, I can't see any dominant trends that we've got going on here, right? This it's small, it's fizzled out, right? It's pretty pathetic, actually, pretty pathetic. That's probably due to the selling power that's been happening over the last few days, right? And as you can see, that is what all this juicy stuff is here, right? But in my opinion, with ETH, right, what have we been seeing? I'll get back to the MACD in a sec, right? What have we been seeing with ETH? These insane pumps, right? These absolutely insane pumps. So we need this. We need this correction for it to be healthy. Otherwise, it could potentially literally like dump off a cliff, right? And we don't want that. Like we could see a top and then just a retracement of just horrible, right? It's just an ugly chart and we don't like that, right? We don't like that at all. We like something like this, like a nice little falling wedge and then a nice measure move break to the upside, like so. And then another consolidation period around the volume weighted ATR band that's going to come down here. Break the high, break the all-time high, and then continue our cycle up, right? Without this consolidation period that we've got going on here, this higher high is impossible, because if that carries on, it becomes parabolic. And when that becomes parabolic, obviously, like I just said, we see insane dumps, right? And we don't like that, insane dumps, because we have that massive sell-off power, right? And this is basically sometimes caused a lot by FOMO, right? And that is not good for any chart. So this consolidation period is perfect. Well done to everyone who got out the all-time high, but I don't think it's done, right? I don't think it's done. The fees baffle me, right? The fees baffle me, but yeah, I don't think it's done. I think we've got a long way to go with it in terms of a 5-figure at the end of the year, right? So fingers crossed for that. And yeah, if you hold it in your portfolio, well done to you, sir, right? But yeah, so that'd be the measure move up if we were going to break this falling wedge to the upside. If we're going to break it to the downside, right? If we're going to break it to the downside, don't get scared. It could happen. We have seen insane pumps recently with ETH, right? We do need the retracement. We do have the volume weighted ATR band here supporting us, and these levels of support here at 2,600 and 2,500, right? So they're pretty dominant levels of support, I presume. Yeah, pretty dominant levels of support that once we basically came over, we rode that wave all the way up. So we could potentially see a measure move down to one of these, and then that correction wave to the upside, right? So if you're looking at getting in, I would wait. I'd wait for this falling wedge to basically play out, and we see some sort of pattern from there. If it's going to be a long position and it's going to indicate that we're going to break to the upside, I wait for us to break, come down, retest, and then get in your position and ride it up, and then basically see what's happening with this volume weighted ATR band and the previous all-time high, right? Because if we get to that, we could have another similar rejection to this, looking like that, and then it could be another wave up. And then in terms of planning out what could happen if this is going to happen, right, we could be looking at some sort of giant channel coming in like that, right? Probably a bit less, like smaller than that, right? Some sort of giant channel coming in like that, right? That's a scenario that could happen with ETH. I wouldn't be too surprised because of obviously these insane gains that have been happening. So yeah, that's a scenario that could happen with ETH. I would expect some consolidation sideways period, not just sort of a downwards trend and then a retrace all the way back up to the previous all-time high. But yeah, let's get back to this measure move to the downside, right? In terms of percent for that trade, if you're going to short, that'd be a nice 20% trade, but I would be taking profit at these levels of support because I know we would find support on them, and if we don't, then we could be going a heck of a lot lower than that, potentially seeing this downwards momentum as we've got here if we don't find the support on them, right? Pretty big downwards momentum to take into account. In terms of getting into ETH, as I just said, if we break into the upside, I'd be getting in around the retest. But if we're not, if we lose the 200, if we lose this falling wedge, I'd be getting in, obviously depending on what's going to happen at these levels of support. If I can see us coming up from these levels of support, like so, that'd be a great time to buy. I nearly swore that. It'd be a great time to buy, right? It'd be a great time to buy because then I can see us basically coming up from there and then testing this level of resistance, right? That's the story on ETH. Oh, no, I didn't go back to the MACD, I don't think. Didn't go back to the MACD. As you can see here, right? As you can see, we do have these trends, right? We are currently in a downtrend, right? We're just about to have the bullish crossover on the MACD, as I said a minute ago, but we do have this. We got something, we've got this. This trend that we've got going on here, right? This trend that I need to look at the camera more. I think I'm pretty zoned in, right? That's what trading does to me. Oh, lovely. As you can see here, we do have this pretty dominant trend, right? We do have this pretty dominant trend here. So we're about to have the bullish crossover. Take that into account in terms of the price, right? And these sort of trends here, they're pretty fizzled out. They're pretty flaccid. They're not very strong, right? They're not very strong uptrends. So I think we're going to come up, test the upside of this wedge that we've got. Keep calling it a channel. This wedge that we've got here, and the 55 moving average here on the 4-hour, right? Because see us basically coming up, seeing some sort of fizzly crap trend here, and then we're going to see a bearish crossover, and then see some sort of trend to the downside, and that's indication that we're going to get rejected off this trend line and the 55 here, and basically continue our cycle down in this falling wedge here. So in terms of getting back into ETH, I think you've got another period, right? You've got another period. I don't think we're going to absolutely smash through these points of resistance here quite yet, right? quite yet. So yeah, that's basically what I think about ETH, and I'm now gonna check the chat and see if anyone's requested any coins. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. Right, we're coming up to 2 hours and 45 minutes. Right, I do want to hit that 3-hour mark today, and then I will be ending the stream, and I'll be getting a video ready. God, it's 11:45. Then I'll be getting a video ready for potentially it'll probably be like a 2 p.m. 3 p.m. release, right? Because obviously I've been streaming for a long time, and I do have to do some quite a bit of prep work for these videos, right? Because it's not just learn about a coin and speak fluently. I need to actually learn it and try and retain the information so I can speak like freely about it. But yeah, if we just take a little summary on Bitcoin, we're actually coming up and testing that 55 again, which is really interesting. If we reference that to the RSI, we might be getting ready to that. Yep, we are. We're getting ready to test, potentially to break that trend. If we're going to break that trend, then we are going to be looking at coming up, right? We are going to be looking at coming up and testing the top side of this channel, right? Then we are going to be not quite overbought. Yeah, we are going to be basically finding dominance, right? We're going to find dominance and potentially get rejected off this 55. If we don't get rejected off the 55 and find support on it, hallelujah. Thank God for that. We need it, right? Absolutely, right? Yeah, guys, if you're liking the stream, give me that thumbs up. Helps me out tremendously. Turn that thumbs up blue. And if you want to do this with me every morning, hit that subscribe button. Well, Monday to Friday. I aim to do it on Saturday and Sunday as well. But I don't want to make some commitments and stuff. Needs to be realistic. But I will have a video every day, right? I'll pre-make videos and stuff if I'm busy. But I'm pretty set on this right now, like building a brand and stuff. I'm really enjoying myself, right? And that's why I'm trying to hit that target of 3 hours stream. So yeah, yeah, thanks to everyone who's watching at the moment. That's really good. Means a lot. Means a lot. But yeah, so Bitcoin on the short term, we are currently in this price range here, this price channel. God, I get tired. It's price channel right now. If we're looking to break up to the upside, in terms of percentage, in terms of a trade for that, we could be looking at 6% trade, which will bring us basically in line with the 200 moving average that we've got here, right? So yeah, definitely something to think about. And also, if we break this RSI, we're going to be seeing some new sort of trend, new trend on the RSI, right, to think about, right, in the future. But yeah, so let me bring up the MACD. Yeah, same sort of thing with the MACD, setting lower highs, very gradually lower highs, but not quite there, pretty horizontal. So there is buying power on the MACD here in terms of trend. So yeah, we could be coming up, but if we do get rejected off this RSI here, we are going to see a bearish crossover pretty imminently and a trend coming down like so, right? So yeah, that's something to think about when trading the short term and looking at this position that we've got going on here. Right? Yeah, that's pretty much it for the short term of Bitcoin. Summarize for the midterm, we're still in this falling wedge here. If we break it, we've got this major trend line to test as well. So there's potential some serious resistance off that. So yeah, definitely something to think about if we're going to be looking at a measure move to the upside. Looking something like so. Measure move to the upside, looking like that. Yeah, like that. And that'll basically indicate that we're going to come down and we'll come up, sorry, and test that that 55 moving average level if we can get over this horizontal support line that we've got here, right? Because I know that's pretty dominant, right? That's pretty dominant level of support. So that's definitely something to consider. Definitely something to consider when trading Bitcoin on the midterm, right? Have a little look at Matic, I think. I'm going to have a little look at Matic because that obviously is doing some crazy stuff. Yep, wrong chart again. Let me switch back. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, going to switch back. We are waiting for that that retracement in a sense, that retest of this trend line, of this rising wedge that we've got going here. And then we're going to be looking at a long position. I took profit last night on a nice long position for Matic, and that was looking something like this. If we draw this channel here, like that, bang. Yeah, like so. Then we do a measure move up from there, like so. Very nice indeed. The price came up. We got back in on the retest, got a better entry, and then basically rode the wave all the way up. That Matic wave that happened throughout the night while I was sleeping, right? Woke up to a nice take profit there. And yeah, I spoke about that on my stream last week, I believe, maybe yesterday. Yeah, so over the weekend, I think it was Saturday on the weekend, right? So yeah, Matic at the moment, we're looking for this position. If we can come down and test this trend line, we're looking for that position, and that'd be ideal, right? That's going to be a lovely trade if we can get in that, because we know the upwards momentum from Matic at the moment it's strong. It's very strong indeed. We do need some sort of correction, but I believe that we're going to get another little leg higher before that happens, right? In terms of the summary of the market, everything's pretty up at the moment because obviously Bitcoin did just do a little pump a minute ago. Bitcoin did a bit of a pump a minute ago to test that 55, and that's given all the markets a little bit more, right? It's given them all a little bit more. Solana's had a pump, right? So that's the wrong chart again. Solana's had a pump. Let me bring up Solana. 14%, right? 14%. We are at the top of testing that trend line, right? We're top of testing this trend line, waiting. We're waiting for that break. Potentially, we're going to hit this volume weighted ATR band and then waiting for that retest. And then we're looking at that nice long to the moon, right? Long to the moon. And that's a nice, near enough 20% gain there. Just over 19%, which is very juicy indeed, right? Juicy indeed, that trade. I'm gonna have to get a comfier chair if I'm streaming for 3 hours, right? My back's hurting. Yeah, I think. Let me choose something to do, right? Yeah, let's do Uniswap, right? Yeah, Uniswap. Yeah, this is Uniswap. Let me find. This is Uniswap. As you can see here, we do have this channel, right? We do have this channel. It's not the nicest channel. It's not the nicest looking channel in the world. But it's a channel nonetheless, right? It's a channel to the upside, and it's on the 4-hour chart if you want to have a look at this yourself. As you can see, we primarily do respect it until we dumped below it, right? We did dump below it, and we went down to these levels of support here around 32, right? We are looking right now, we're looking at testing the 21 moving average, finding support on that hopefully, and continuing this nice little uptrend that we've started here on the 4-hour, right? We've found support. So we have for the last 3 hours, I guess, on $35, right? We could see a retracement in the price over the next hour or so. We're looking for that hourly close above this level of support. And then we could potentially see some upwards momentum, right? If you look at these swings, right? Look at this swing. The swing of upwards momentum from this level of support here. Ideal. That's what we want. We want to close here and get that upward swing and get the reclamation, the reclaim of this channel, right? Reclaim of this channel and testing the next level of support, which would be at 38, right? If we can find resistance, next level of resistance at 38. If we can find some support on that, we could see the next level of resistance to come up and test is around 44, right? Long way to go, but I can see us getting there in the future, right? If we can smash through these major moving averages and this major trend line, right? Pretty excited about Uniswap. Obviously, it's got some great fundamentals behind it, right? In terms of the exchange and all that stuff, right? In terms of the RSI, not overextended, not underextended. It's just pretty central, right? Nothing really going on at the moment. Obviously, you see some fizzle up in buying power, and that's what's kind of happening here. We did see. Oh, we haven't seen. Yeah, we saw a lower low yesterday or this morning. Yeah, yesterday morning we saw a low low, but we didn't quite get there yesterday. So that's an indication of the reversal in the price, right? In terms of the RSI, what's happening here is you've got this pretty dominant trend line on the RSI. So in order to get there in terms of buying power for the RSI, we need to be breaking through these major levels of resistance, right? We need to be breaking through these major levels of resistance and reclaiming this channel that we've got, right? That's all I can see happening here with the RSI. Hopefully we can get there. Just hopefully we can, right? It's a fundamental though. If you're going to get into some sort of position, like I wouldn't, not on the 4-hour time frame anyway. It's nothing looking too attractive in my opinion. Yeah, I wouldn't be getting in a position anytime soon with Uniswap. But if you are on shorter time frames or you're scalping and stuff, be cautious when this level hits it, because if it on the RSI, of course, if it hits it and finds resistance on it, right, we're going to see a retracement in selling power, right, and that's obviously going to dump the price, right. It's quite hard for us to break it because it's a pretty dominant trend, and it was seriously overextended, and obviously that was these pumps here. So yeah, definitely something to consider when trading it, long-term, short-term, or mid-term, right? In terms of the MACD, what we've got going on here, we do have this trend cycle in a sense going on here, and that's obviously been completed. So that indicates we do have a new trend here. It's not a very strong uptrend cycle that we've got going on here. Look, as you can see, it's pretty flaccid indeed, and that's why it wouldn't surprise me if we had a bullish crossover here, which we're just about to do, or we've just done really. We have a bullish crossover, and then pretty imminently we get rejected off this 21 moving average here. We get rejected off this 21 moving average here, and then we have a bearish crossover on the MACD here, and then we see some sort of flip in the trend here, right? In terms of the downtrend, what's happening on the MACD right now, there's nothing really. Yeah, this is the lower low in terms of the new trend cycle. So whatever happens in the next trend, we're gonna see potentially a lower high, right? We're gonna see a lower high. Could be near enough horizontal, right? These are pretty close, right? That's obviously seems to be a thing with Uniswap here in terms of the downtrends, right? So we could see one fairly horizontal, which could indicate a pretty big swing back in the price, right? Hopefully not setting a lower low, but as you can see here, we did set a lower high last time we came down, right? We set a lower high last time we came down, just around here. We didn't quite get to this lower low point. So that indicates that if we come down, we're going to set a lower high again, right? And then we're going to basically keep doing that and riding that wave sort of up, right? Until that trend is complete. And then we'll be forming some sort of trend lines looking like so. Oh, not like that. Looking like so on the, obviously this is the 4 hours, so it might look different on the other charts. But like if we continuously setting lows, right? If we're continuously setting lows and riding that the lower high wave up, I guess if that's what you want to call it, it could be looking something like that in terms of price action. And then we've got that ascending triangle, and then we could potentially see a breakup and a test of this this trend line that we've got moving here, right? Moving trend line that we've got going here. God, I'm really messing up now. Nearly 3 hours in. It's crazy. Yeah. So in 3 minutes, guys, I'm going to be ending the stream, but just want to say thank you all for being here. Longest stream yet. Really enjoyed myself. I hope I've given you guys a good insight into the charts. And I will be doing this every morning, every goddamn morning, and I'll be doing a video every lunchtime around 1-2 o'clock, right? Obviously, it's going to be a bit later today because I've done a longer stream. But yeah, obviously, it's my 4th stream, so I'm trying to get in that stream practice and basically make myself better and more professional and better at delivering the information to you guys, right? That's kind of my aim here, right? I want to benefit you guys, and that's why I do my videos on altcoins where you can make some serious gains every lunchtime, right? The one yesterday, I'm predicting like a 3,000% sort of gain from that, which is just absolutely nuts. And you guys don't have to do the research. I do the research. You just watch the video. It's simple as that. Easy life. And if you're interested in that sort of stuff, hit that subscribe button. Helps me out tremendously. It doesn't help me out tremendously. I've only got 10 subs or something stupid, but yeah, you're never going to miss one of my uploads if you do that. If you want to help me out, hit that like button. Turn that thumbs up blue. That helps me out tremendously in terms of algorithms and stuff like that, right? But yeah, that is Uniswap, right? That's Uniswap. So we could basically be coming up and reclaiming this channel. But first, I do see some sort of retracement and lower highs being formed, and basically riding that wave basically all the way up, right? Now, what else have we got here? Should we do a bit of cake? Let's do a bit of cake. At the moment, as you can see, cake is trending down, right? Trending down. Found that support, though. It's found a nice level of support on the RSI here, and it's basically riding that wave down, and we are seeing lower highs from there, right? We could potentially see some sort of retracement imminently, and we find support on the next level of support, which is at $26, right? In terms of patterns that we've got going on here, right? Let me get the right tool up. We do have this dominant sort of trend going on down here, and likewise with what's going on here, right? Ever so slightly broadening, right? Ever so slightly broadening, but maybe just about a channel, right? Maybe just about a channel. Not healthy. It's not a healthy channel, but maybe just about a channel, right? So not very reliable. Got a few touches. Like ideally, we'd have liked another touch here, and then another touch like bang, bang, bang. Then that's like a healthy chart pattern, right? So that's what we would have been looking for in terms of looking for a trade here. But right now, you can see the momentum we've gained from testing this volume weighted ATR band and pushing up from there, right? We're currently testing the 21 moving average, and after that, if we can get over the 21 moving average and find the support on there, we'll be in line to test the top side of this channel. If we test the top side of this channel, we could be looking at some sort of measure move from there, right? The measure move that I'd be looking at from there, obviously depending on where we're going to break, right? Obviously depending on where we're going to break, it's something along the lines of this, right? Something along the lines of this, and we're going to see, in terms of a trade for that, just under 18%. So 17.78%, I think that was. 17.78%, obviously, depending on where we're going to break, right? Obviously, depending on where we're going to break is where the measure move is going to be, right? And then we need to think about when we're in that long position, if we get into that long position, these major moving averages here, right? These major moving averages here, because they are very strong. Very strong. As you can see, this 200, it's got a lot of downwards momentum when we lose it, right? A lot of downwards momentum when we lose it. So if you're in your trade and you come up, you're in a long, you're in nice profits here, you could potentially take profit. If you don't find support on that 200, you see this downwards momentum. That could cause a downwards momentum. Right, stop loss hit. Back to square one. No gains made. Not good. Not good for anyone involved, right? So that's definitely a potential trade to think about in cake. And that's without the fundamentals of the RSI or the MACD on the 4-hour time frame. As you can see, on the 4-hour, we're not overextended, we're not underextended, we're pretty central, right? Pretty obvious trend line coming down. It's not really that great. Pretty steep indeed. We're near enough clearing it. So that's an indication that we could be coming out to test it again and then basically seeing some buying power from there. And that could be an indication that we are going to wave to the upside. We are going to test these major moving averages here, right? Definitely something to consider in terms of trading here, right? Yeah, as you can see on the MACD here, yeah, you can see that on my chart. The MACD here, we have just had a bullish crossover, but it's flaccid. There's not a lot going on. It's a lot of switching trends, a lot of sideways action going on here. So at this point in time, we could be doing anything really. It's not. We're waiting for that next big thing, the next big trend to sort of take motion, right? This obviously we've got this nice lower low here of this new trend. Obviously it's not this one because this is obviously completed as so, but we do have this nice lower low of this new trend here. But as you can see here, this downtrend, this bearish crossover that we had here, it's pretty flaccid. There's not really a lot going on. So we could be moving and we could be seeing some sort of correction of what's gone on there, right? We could see a new level of support. Yeah, new level of support for this MACD trend line to think about, depending whether we dump or whether we pump, right? And at this point in time, same sort of scenario with what's going on the upside, the uptrends, right? I can't speak anymore. The uptrends, right? They're pretty small. They're pretty flaccid. Still respecting this sort of line, this trend line on the MACD here. So if we're going to be seeing some insane pumps, what we're going to see a break. We're going to see a break of this trend and a new trend being set, and that is an indication if that is going to happen. So it's definitely worth a watch in terms of what's happening in the price action. Definitely worth a watch in terms of watching it on the chart, whether it's going to do some sort of measure move completion right coming up. Definitely interesting stuff in terms of cake. That's wrong. Right. 3 hours, hit the 3 hour mark, guys. Thank you for all being here with me. It's been amazing. My first 3 hour stream. It's my fourth. It's only my fourth stream, right? So give me a break if I'm messing up and stuff. I am gonna try and get better and more professional continuously. In terms of streaming, I'm gonna be streaming every day, Monday to Friday at least. I will try and always get one in on the weekend. A video will be coming out every single day, whether it's an altcoin, whether it's a Bitcoin update. I'll be doing it every single day, right? I love it. Hope I've given you a good insight, and thank you again for watching the stream. If you like it, hit that thumbs up, helps me out tremendously. And if you want to see more of my content, and you want to be here every day, click that subscribe button, man. Click that subscribe button and that notification bell, and you'll see when you'll get a notification when my videos release at lunchtime, some potential altcoins or a swift emergency Bitcoin update. And also, you'll get a notification when my stream starts, right? This juicy good stuff, and I'm continuously going through trades on my stream, right? So, yeah, thanks again for being here. This is me. I don't want to say signing off. It's a bit cliche, right? But yeah, I'm just going to say peace out, and thanks for watching.